nerd out about some stuff, talk about CS Astro, and
I told. Oh, matter of fact, I was going to say I told Eric. I said, "Come on up because we're going to be going live here again in a little bit." So he's here putzing around.
Sure, awesome, yeah. Have him tell him to come in. What's going on, everybody? So we just started.
Come here.
We had to run a little bit late,
but
that's fine because that happens. I'm trying to get started.
Yeah, pull up a chair.
Come on, buddy. How's it been?
How much you got to move? That dog doesn't want to move out of the way.
The dog didn't know to move. Dog does what it wants.
You over there. You over here.
What's going on, Eric? How you doing, brother?
Good. There you go.
How's life? So I guess your school year is almost over. You got what? A couple weeks left?
Like
Next week.
Yeah, next week, next Friday is when everything's due by. I'm done with 5 of my 7 classes so far.
Is that the beginning of facial hair that I see there, or is that just a shadow?
Yeah, that's the beginning.
Ah, man.
He's got this. Oh, did you shave it? No. He's got the one long hair that he refuses to shave off.
I don't refuse. I just have it.
He's like, I don't refuse, Dad.
I worked 16 years for that hair. It's fine.
It is all completely fine. We have been there and done that. So for people that are joining, we're starting up the live stream again. There's really no better people to join in for something that's kind of a new thing I'll be playing around with for a while than the two hosts of this awesome show, Clear Skies, that they did an amazing job putting together. I just paid a guy to film it who was awesome, and then said, "Hey, let's put this on the YouTube channel and see what people think." And I think it's done kind of well. Let's break it up and look at it here a little bit.
All things considered, right?
All things considered, I think we've done a pretty good job with it. So, and we get a big thank you has to go out to the man, the myth, the legend, Andy Green, who threw in the telescopes that helped us kind of get it out there too.
Yeah,
but,
that was awesome.
It really was, man. He's such a cool guy. Okay, I see. What's wrong. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm on the wrong thing here.
Anybody else dialing in?
Yeah, they will. I just have to get to skirt.
Nothing. So this is kind of his first time doing this, just general social media, talking it up for fun kind of thing. So
yeah. No worries. I mean, it's really laid back. All we're going to do is we're just going to nerd out. We're going to show some stuff. I'm going to do just a quick minute here where I can get to this YouTube channel because I was on the wrong one, and I'm actually really glad that I checked that out because I almost went live on the wrong channel too. That would have probably got myself in trouble.
Bloody rookies.
Right, I know, for real. So, Eric, we'll give you a quick breakdown. I mean, it's really easy. We'll have different people that are going to hop in and hop out, and we're just going to nerd out about science stuff. It doesn't really matter what it is, just as long as it's not woo. So, we're just going to talk about all the stuff we love about space and science and all that. So if I can just get to our channel and find the right one.
He just had so he's got control. He doesn't have control. He's got missions scheduled on the SLU telescope tonight. You can do that. And
which is awesome.
Pulled up a couple of pictures. Yeah.
So let's see what this looks like whenever I bring this up. So I'm going to room this, and then I want to add something to the stream. I will stop sharing the screen, and I'll add something else. So this is going to be pretty cool because I didn't know that I could do this. Somebody actually showed this to me recently. I can share the audio from this. So this should actually come out on your end to where you can actually hear it, which will be pretty awesome. But we can
there you go.
There it is.
There it is.
Back.
So, Paul, this is not specifically multiverse, but if you're worrying about quantum phenomenon, it's got to show up at some point.
Quantum dynamics. And then we make a measurement, and we compare the prediction of the calculation with the measurement. It's one of the most accurate predictions that science is actually able to.
I still got to interview him. I got to get a hold of him.
Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode. We're here at the Space Foundation
Look at that guy.
in Colorado Springs today.
How about that?
Very basic stuff about astronomy that you
Who's
might
that
want
guy?
to know.
Who are those two guys? I love the red shirt. You're still alive though.
I buy a telescope for my son for Christmas. I just don't know what to get.
What's that constellation in the sky? There's too many stars and I don't understand.
What do eyepieces do? How do they work?
That's a great shirt,
Where
Eric.
do I get them?
I thought
We're gonna get you a bigger one now. You probably can't even fit in that anymore,
That's
can
what
you?
Eric and I
I don't think so, no.
Probably not.
answer your question. So make it
That's been a couple
easier
of
for
years.
you to move on to the next step.
There it is. Thing that changed the world. Not really, but I think we did a pretty good job with it. So Jeff's actually in the comments right now. Jeffrey Rains from our awesome astronomical society that we are both a part of.
Yep.
We are all a part of, I should say. Let me go ahead and bring that back out. So
standard.
let me remove that because that's just a random.
Yeah, and actually, I got Matt Russell on, Mr. President himself. He's asking if he was still streaming, so he's going to tell you. I think he's going to dial in as well.
No, he's more than welcome. All he has to do is let me know, and we'll play around. I'm always glad to have Matt. I mean, Jeff, if you want to join in, man, you're more than welcome. We'll talk about some CS Astro stuff and some of the stuff that we will. So, is it? Have we officially said anything about like RMSS is out there that it's not happening, right?
It's unfortunately we made the call this past week, and all things considered, we couldn't do it. So it's for this year it's canceled. And we luckily, we've already got Leonard David, who is one of our two guest speakers, along with Harrison Schmidt, of course, astronaut Harrison Schmidt.
Yep.
Leonard David has already told us he's good for 2021. Of course,
he's so awesome.
He's fantastic. Yeah, he's fantastic. So yeah, it kind of sucks, but when it came down to it, the way it was discussed, it wasn't even a 50-50 split. Actually, we had 24 people on from the club and the executive committee. They talked about it, and basically they said, yeah, well, no, don't do it. Everybody it was total agreement, and the logic behind it was, if you look at it from a bipartisan kind of look, 50% said, why wouldn't you do it? And 50% says, why would you do it? Well, you go with one of those 250%, you go with the one that's not going to potentially kill people. So, that was a part of the discussion. But unfortunately, it's canceled for this year. But it is what it is. It was the safest thing to do. It's the smartest thing.
No, I mean it's absolutely the best thing. So if people haven't seen the website, you can check it out. You can check it out here at rmss.org. Let's bring that one back up on the screen here a little bit, just so people can see it. We haven't been there yet. Just a little bit about everything that goes on with it, and this awesome place is in Gardner, Colorado. I still haven't been yet. I'm really looking forward to it. It's always a fun event. I mean, come on now. Like, there's not too many that I know of anyway. I'm still new to this, but going to one of these events and getting to run into not only an Apollo astronaut, but if I remember correctly, the only official scientist that ever went to the moon. That was the goal.
He's a geologist. He's a very active geologist. He's the first scientist to go to the moon.
Yeah, it's
pretty cool.
Yeah, no, and that's what we're that's always some really cool stuff that we have going on there. What's up, Jackie? How's it going? Glad to have you on. So let's go back to, we were talking a little bit about how everything came up. So a couple years ago, we were playing around, and I was working with a friend of mine that I went to high school. We weren't friends in high school. We're friends now. But he wanted to do some telescope giveaways, and I was thinking about doing an astronomy like series of some sort, but wasn't really educated on it enough to do so. And so we're like, okay, we'll give this away. And we're like, Eric, we're gonna go to this live stream, and you just talk about the telescope, and like just you can pick some stuff out, whatever, and Eric just goes off and just breaks this whole thing down. And everybody that was watching on Periscope was like, what? Where did that come from? Like, the best part is that was off the cuff. So I knew right then and there that these guys had to be the host for it, man. And it's a family affair, which makes it even better. We got some really cool people. So it's always nice to see that there's that it can be something that can connect the whole family, and especially in times right now. One, it's like the original old school social distancing thing you can do, or it can be every single one of your friends if you want to, and it can start some really cool conversations with people. So it doesn't really matter which way you do it, because it can be done in any way, and we can even do it virtually, which is a pretty awesome thing. We're gonna play around with some stuff here in just a little bit with let me stop sharing that one. We can bring up SLU. So if people don't know what SLU is, it's space for everyone. Is the idea is that you can learn astronomy online And you can do some amazing things by being able to so these are the telescopes that are live right now that you can see that people are out there are able to play around with, schedule some cool stuff. Sorry if I don't bite my tongue off. So we can go to the Chile telescope here. I call it a web scope from time to time. So let's go to, let's see what the queue is for tonight. You can go through all the different, depending on the level of membership you have on SLU, you can do different things. You can look into celestial coordinates to try and find things in the sky that you want to look at that may not already be part of the catalog. Or there's the SLU 1000 where you can pick particular things like you see Orionis Galaxy M61 right there that someone has. And it's incredible the things that you can do with it. And it really, really is awesome. So I was just show you guys some of the pictures that I took on here. And we're going to be doing some cool stuff with them in the future, talking to them about some stuff right now. But let's bring up the moon photos from the original missions that I did. And we can just look at how crystal clear these photos are from their let's see here. Let's skip forward a little bit. That one's a really good one. Actually, you know what? I think no, I was right. I was in the right place. Let me hop forward just a little bit here. Da-da-da. I took a bunch of pictures playing around with the first one. So
there you go.
Like just some photos of the full moon. Like all you have to do is point and aim it. You schedule the mission. You bring the photo. It brings the telescope up, and you can do it. It has 5 minutes to image. And the incredible part about it, so there it is, the first shot of the moon here on SLU. So there's missions. There's different missions that you can do to learn astronomy and be a part of astronomy clubs, all kinds of cool things. So when you go to your missions, you have the stuff that you have set up, but there's also, it's gamified. So you have quests that you can play around with, which is really cool too. I love some of the things that you can see here that you can kind of play around with. Yeah. And let me throw this on the side. There we go. So you like the different things that we can do. So, here's a different starter quest, the stuff that I completed. So the sun, you can go and view the quest. You can see all the different things, but it has all the education that's built in it too, where you can see the stuff. So what are the things that I learned? You can review your work, just like Khan Academy, all the next steps. You can break down everything, all the details it tells you of the telescopes, where you're seeing them from. They have them all over the world. And it's a really, really cool thing that they have come up with on this. And Will, what's going on? Will, are you, I see that Will Young is on. Will, are you open and do you want to join the live stream? Let me see what he's up to real quick. Let me message him. So you guys can talk about yourself for a minute. Yeah. You guys want to talk a little bit about CS Astro?
I was going to say, what's cool about the SLU is you have the capability of doing science and astronomy from your dining room table. You don't have to go out. You don't have to have your own equipment. It's good to know a little bit about what you want. So, because if you're going to go out and program a mission, schedule a mission, it's nice. I want to go out and see M81 and M82 side by side tonight. You can tell it to do that. I want to try and follow the Swan Comet or something like that. So it's nice. But the cool part about it is you can do it no matter where you are in the world, as long as you've got internet.
Internet.
Exactly right. It's fantastic. And it's easy, and the quality is there, and it's a lot of fun. It's tremendously educational. And you're right, that gamified thing, man, that's fantastic, because that's instead of the old school. Yeah. Guys, the 80-year-old guys who maybe that's not their style. It's geared toward the younger folks because, hey, man, look I know what this is. And I recognize that GUI, that graphic user interface. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to take me somewhere. I know what this is. This looks like something I do. It's cool. Exactly right. The kids will get into it, and sometimes that's all it takes. They're being tricked into knowing science.
And that's a really cool part about this isn't the only platform that does it. Khan Academy did it too, and they do such a good job of it. But so what I love about it is let me bring this up here is so you all can see it, is that it cracks me up. I love it. Is that the levels of what you can do? So my level is Ptolemy, and I've been since 2020. So I've got. You get gravity, you get badges, you get MVP, and all the different things you can do, and all the different quests that you can kind of play around with. But you get to some people, like you'll get to, like Paul Cox is one of the main astronomers for it, and he's I think like Swan Levitt, so he's Henrietta Swan level because he's that level of astronomer because of all the stuff he's done. So you see all these great names as you're playing through it, and you're messing around with the platform, and it's awesome. So Jackie says, "What's up? What's up, Jackie? We're glad to have you on. We're kind of messing around with some new stuff tonight." But it is. It really is. It's a really awesome platform. There's all kinds of cool stuff that you can do with it, and it's definitely something I want to play around with more in the future. And definitely some of the stuff that we've done before with the series. So a lot of people don't know too much about astronomical societies. So this is kind of streaming everywhere, especially places like Twitch. Periscope. There's not a whole lot of people talking about astronomy, and that's something that CS Astro does. I mean, there definitely people are. I mean, that's where we gave away the telescope was Periscope, but there's not that many people yet, and we've got a really great group of people that within our organization. I mean, if I were to turn off my camera, I've still got the telescope that I borrowed like 3 years ago. That telescope I borrowed like 3 years ago. So, but it's that's one of the cool things about it. You can loan telescopes for people. Take them back. Don't do what I did. It's just been a busy couple of years. I looked up and it was 2020, and they're there for resources, and that's something that with RMSS you get to go to this big huge events, meet awesome people. Camp out, look into the star, lay under the stars, and just look out into the universe and these dark skies like we have. But CS Astro does a lot of really cool stuff. So that's the name that we're going with now, right? I know that it was changed. It was like CSAT for a while,
just like it's spelled right there, CS Astro. Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I mean, the good thing about the astronomical societies or astronomy clubs, whatever you want to talk about. I mean, it's all about putting yourself out there and learning. We've got everybody in the club from kids. I mean, he was the youngest when he joined when he was 9, 8, 7, whatever it was, all the way up to 90-year-olds. We got everything from students to astrophysicists, every skill level in between. And that's the cool thing about it. You go out there, you don't have to know everything. You can know nothing, and you got to go in there and you got to learn. And the folks there, they're gonna help you learn, and you have no choice but over time to learn. And you'd be surprised how much you can pick up. I mean, everybody's wonderful, and the opportunities. And when we do a lot of outreach, just like you're doing right here. We do outreach here in the Pike Peak region. I think last year we reached 35,000 people or something like that by going out to schools and parks and setting up the equipment and letting folks come out and we're telling them, hey, put your eye up to the eyepiece. And for the first time in their life, they see Saturn just hanging above their heads up close.
That's the big one, man.
Oh yeah, Saturn's the big one. But for kids, we always say, get your kids in there. Don't that from the series. A lot of people will buy their kids a telescope. Birthday present, Christmas present, grandma gives it to them, whatever. And they take it outside. They don't know what to look like. They get bored. You sell it in the yard sale. So instead, we tell them, get involved in an astronomy club of some kind. You can do it online, you can do it in person, whatever you want, and teach them so that when they do go out there with their telescope, they know what they're looking at and how to use it. And that's how he got started. He got started looking at the Jupiter and 4 moons of Jupiter from Germany, and caught his attention. He studied on it. We got here, joined the club, and bam, there you go. Now we've been doing it for 9 years now.
Yeah.
Third grade here. Yes, it's third grade for him, and he's a sophomore. So
yeah. So I mean, let me ask you a question, Eric. Like, what was your interest in space and science before that? Did you have any or I should say, where were you at when it came to like interest in anything? Like your grades are killer; they've been killer ever since I've known you. And before that, and I know they're gonna, you continue to do well with it. And the thing is that you're doing it. One of the things it comes down to is that you enjoy it. You're smart, and you don't mind being smart, which is always a great thing. But was that an impetus for you? Is that what made you want to kind of keep going with all the stuff that you're doing now? Or was it just like, I loved all this stuff anyway. Astronomy just was adding to it.
No, I liked astronomy for a long time and space. I found the Astronomical Society because I actually had to interview someone for a project I was doing, and that project I chose the solar system for. So yeah, I found the astronomy club through doing stuff about space. And that's how I got started in that. But no, I'd liked astronomy from a long time before that. But the Astronomical Society has helped me do it more as well, and learn more about it than I did before I joined it.
What he doesn't remember is that up on his wall in his bedroom in Germany at our first house there when we first moved there, he had space posters. We had a fully exploded view of the space shuttle poster.
I remember that.
You remember it?
I remember that.
And he knew all the parts to the space shuttle, 3 years old. Yeah. So we had a bunch of space stuff, and that was me. So he, but he took it, he liked it, he enjoyed it. So we've kind of, built on that and then jumped into astronomy as a part of it. He's wanted to be an astronaut since then, since he was 3 years old. He's still working towards it. Looking at he's looking at MIT. He's looking at the UC Boulder Space Program.
Dude, that's where I want to go, man.
Yeah, exactly right. He's
probably end up there at the same time.
He might be
once everything kind of calms down a little bit, once I actually have the time. So, one of the places I work for, I understand it, and I don't want to say it for sure, so I won't know which one, but once you've been an employee there for a year, they'll pay for your school. Like you have to, when you go, you have to finish the classes, and once you have that, then they'll reimburse you for it, and then you can kind of go from there. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like I work some pretty cool places, especially if I could be the official astronomer, like first official astronomer at that for a pretty big organization. As far as I'm aware, I've never met anybody in there that says that they have a degree in astronomy yet. Everybody had tons of education. Tons of awesome people, but it's just one of those that would be really cool. And specifically, if we can find ways to implement some of the cool stuff that's going on out there, man, I think we've got there's so many different opportunities that we have now, especially with the virtual world and being able to to utilize stuff like this and and just like for stuff like SLU, that platform is just awesome, and it's. Anybody can figure this out. It doesn't matter how old you're. Like, okay, I see the telescope up there. What happens when I click it? When I click the telescope, it shows me all the telescopes. Which telescopes are open? Yeah, there we go. So, and it says right across the top what they are.
Yeah, you got to have an intuitive interface. I mean, that's part one. Yeah, that's a sign of good. That's a sign of a good software build.
That's exactly right. I agree with you 100%. And so, like this one's. Like just some of the shots that they get of some of these things are incredible. Well, that's one of the solar system telescopes, but give it a second. I love how it just zooms in. And what I like about it too is that when you so say I take a photo of it, and I take the picture here, and you can kind of look in and zoom in on it, which I love. You can move around on the photo and like really see it in depth. I mean, there's just a million different things that you can do with this that are incredible. And the SLU 1000 is all the basic stuff that everybody would want to look at. It's all the stuff that you're going to pick around and be like, oh, well, I've heard of the Cat Eye Nebula, like I've heard of the Helix, I've heard of all these different things, and you've probably seen some of them. You've seen them in backgrounds, probably. You've seen them in people's pictures. You've seen stuff, especially recently with Hubble, with the hashtag Hubble 30. That's the one that made so many of them famous. And I just think that's just. It's incredible what is possible now. It used to be, how am I going to get a multi-$1,000 telescope and be able to go out and see the stuff? Or will I ever be able to see something that clear and that impressive? And to see something like that's available for, a couple bucks a month. It's like, I mean, Curiosity Stream is the only thing that I think might be cheaper, which I think Curiosity Stream is like $12-13 for a year, which is like that. But they came out with one not too long ago that's like $20 for the year. Now that doesn't have all of the features of the people that are paying the $100 or $300 a year for it, but doesn't mean that there's still not like the education and all the stuff that you can go in there. But you cannot beat $20 if you can't find something on there for $20. Then there's something wrong. Yeah, especially if you're interested in it. Hold on a second. You're getting some.
Go ahead. Eric said he's got a question. Good.
Sure.
So what photography you can do with that is that just one shot? Can you do longer exposures and stacking images? What does it let you do with that?
So I'll be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure everything you can do on it yet because I'm still learning it. Well, there's the point in fact is that I'm still learning astronomy. So you have so what it does is that it points at an object and you have 5 minutes whenever you schedule a mission. And you can see them start to fill in. It starts to fill in the color at the end of like 5 minutes. So let me bring up some of the ones that they took. So they just opened up a couple other telescopes here not too long ago that were awesome. So awesome. We find it here but now share screen. And let me see. It's going to be.
So it's not. So this is again. This is the SLU. So you're getting time. They're giving you mission time.
Exactly.
But it's not. It's not like if you set up in your backyard and you're doing astrophotography in your backyard and you're down, saving it for 12 hours and then stacking 10,000 images. It's not like that.
Yeah. What's up, David? We got my man David Farina in the house tonight. He's from Cosmos Safari. I don't even want to talk about how good of a photographer and astrophotographer this guy is. Just makes me feel bad. You can tell by his stream setup. Like, just look at his setup. Like, that's his actual setup. Like, that's not a fake background. He's already got the lighting and everything all set up, which I love. So, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Not too much. Just it's a little late here, so I'm not going to be able to stay on really long. But I've been working on some new content for my YouTube channel tonight. I'm reviewing some camera gear. Give me a second.
Sure, absolutely. So your Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, and you can see all the different stuff. But seriously, look at the setup.
So yeah, I'm borrowing these from a local camera shop called the Perfect Image Camera, near where I live, and so I'm just doing a side-by-side test. It's a 5D Mark IV and a 6D Mark II, and I'm just trying to see which camera body lens combination is best for like the astrophotographer to get started with. You know, especially
get started with.
You got $12,000 worth of bodies there.
But that's not what I'm saying. My point is this. My point is that people have cameras and gear already, especially professional like landscape photographers, things like that. They want to use them for other ways. So if they already have the gear, or even if they just have a camera body and you want to rent a lens, you're going to a dark sky site for the weekend. What do you rent? You know, you have one chance to go get this image. So I'm doing these reviews, trying to get people excited about astrophotography. So that's all.
I mean, and that's a big thing too that we've been talking about recently. There's not a whole lot of people that are out there that are really doing. You see photographers. Yeah, there's the Peter McKinnons and all these other guys that are killing it when they come to these really in-depth videos. But there's not many. What is it like Astro Backyard? I know you're doing stuff, obviously Dustin and everything with OPT. But we don't have too many people that are out there that are breaking this stuff down from the ground up. And that's, what I was mentioning earlier was George and Eric created we all worked together and made a Astronomy Telescope 101 series that we put on YouTube and started them a couple years ago. Okay. Talked about doing season 2, doing a bunch of different things. But
so George and Eric?
Yeah, George on the left, Eric's on the right. So and I know you have a lot to do with your Astronomical Society and all the groups and stuff that's in your area. So George does the PR and social media for that, but also very heavily involved with our local Astronomical Society. So, and that's where I met them. So when I was mentioning a little bit earlier, we gave away a telescope on Periscope with a friend of mine. Eric killed it. George, he and George both did it, and Eric did a really great job. So I was like, oh man, let's do this series. So we did it at the Space Foundation Discovery Center, put it out to everybody, got to give away a bunch of telescopes. It was just a really cool thing. And it took us took us almost a year after we started talking about the idea to finally do it. And then once it was done, it was all done in like a week and a half. Yeah, which is one of the best ways to do it, right? Like we could have spent 2 months trying to shoot it, but instead everybody took the time to do it. When we had the right time, we ran into it, and it was great.
Shot it all in one day. Right? We shoot all 5.
So we did it all in a couple hours, and it was only within that afternoon. It was actually the Sunday when the Discovery Center is generally closed, and the director at the time they're doing something else with one of our leads in education, and I was like, yeah, sure, come on in on Sunday. They're not using the SOS, so we set everything up and did it, man. And it's been it was awesome. They did a great job. We need a season 2, that's for sure. But I love that. But there isn't those there's not a whole lot of those breakdowns that are serious, well done, well edited, and all that, telling people about that stuff. And it's cool to see again you, Astro Backyard, and a few other people that are doing it. But I think we need more and more of that. Will Young, the guy that I do, Deep Sky dude that I do, the Mooncast and stuff with. It's so cool to see more and more people jumping in this area, more people on Twitch that are doing things, trying to tap into the stuff. Well, if gamers can do it, why can't we do it? So I think it's just awesome.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on here tonight because, I'm kind of small potatoes here. You talk about Astro Backyard and the other guys. Fortunately, I know Trevor. I've met Trevor. I live in Pennsylvania, and so we're pretty close together. But not everybody has that connection with someone who really kind of has their act together when it comes to astrophotography, and many people will go to the people online because not everybody knows somebody who does this. And if you're interested, this online community of Twitch that I've recently connected with has been phenomenal. Dustin at OPT
Yep.
is so welcoming, and the whole community is so interested. And so I like the fact that that's live and you can get that one-on-one connection with people. So, definitely reach out to them and, come on to Twitch, which I think is just, I'm leaning that direction myself.
We're on Twitch right now.
Oh, good. Cool.
It's like, where are we at? We're everywhere. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, /Twitter, and Twitch, all of them right now. You're everywhere right now. And as soon as I get it worked out, I got a program today that'll let us go to Instagram, which we'd only be able to do an hour. And once I have enough people, I could then do TikTok too, but I have to have enough to be able to go live over there.
We get like 15 seconds on TikTok though, right?
Well, so once you have enough people, you have you can do lives there. Like you can do hour-long lives like you can on Instagram. You just have to have enough followers. So that's still something that they're kind of playing around with. But like Will's already got it. So we could go to like the start of Instagram with 77,000 followers, and he's got like 40,000 followers all in like the last month on TikTok because of he caught the plane flying across when he was doing a live moon stream. So there's the shot of that. Will also has that so I don't know that either one of you know this, but during the last lunar eclipse, an asteroid, something struck the moon, and like everybody was talking about it. Will was live streaming that and caught it.
Oh, wow.
Had it on video. Didn't even know it happened. Somebody told him about it. He had to go back through it and find it, and found it where it impacts it. Honestly, here we'll look at it because
it's like that. It's a little tiny flash of light. It's a millisecond.
It's a very quick thing, but it is so cool.
But it's there.
And you would never know unless you're doing something like live streaming.
Well, you'd never know it. You can't see it with your eyes. You couldn't see it with a telescope. It happened too fast.
Right.
It's only because somebody happened to see it because he was recording it.
Yeah, this is my new baby. I'm excited for this guy. I'll be able to live stream with. Yeah, thank you. I'll be able to live stream with this. It's the Attic Horizon 2. So within the next like month, I'm hoping to have my live stream set up not only to do live streams like this, but also through the telescope, with a deep sky object, collecting photons and streaming it over the internet to you. And I'll be able to talk to you live. So like if there's an object of interest that you're trying to find yourself or just want to see, you'll basically have access to my telescope. It'll be pretty cool.
Was that a CCD camera that you were holding up?
This is a CMOS camera, which is very much like what you would have in your cell phone, but it is a dedicated astrophotography camera. So it's cooled, but it's a one-shot color, which allows me to give like color images of what you're seeing rather than using a filter wheel with a mono camera. Nice. So this will be really nice for the live stream capability.
Dude, that's gonna be killer. Conafe, what's going on, man?
The sun not going down until like 8:30 or 9. I completely forgot about. So I just got done working. And yeah, I think I said to you 3 hours ago, I was like, yeah, let me finish this really quick and I'll get back to you. And now it was really quick. So sorry about that.
No, you're completely fine, man. Well, I think the cool part about it was he's like, you know what, man, I want to work on this model. I'm going to go for a nice long walk, man. Then we'll talk about it. And he's like, so we ended up doing a 2.5 hour live stream. And then left, took an hour and something off and came back. And he still just like, oh my God.
It's that many hours. It's been that long.
Well, what was yeah, dude, it's been like 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
What was the model for? What were you doing?
I was doing some financial modeling. Some financial modeling for my job. Just to see what we could do with regard to thing. I can't say anything about it.
Not allowed to say. I don't even know what you actually do. So
yeah,
last night was genius, by the way. What you guys did. That was so good. So tell us what you do, sort of what you can do, and then, whatever you can say. And then you got to tell everybody about what you did with Emerald City last night. That was so awesome.
First of all, hi, I'm John, George, and Cosmos. Hi. Nice to meet you all. And thanks, Ron. So I am Director of Business Development at Spaceflight Inc., the launch services branch of Spaceflight Industries, but the launch services branch was just purchased by Mitsui out of Japan, which is a large transportation and logistics company, which is a great thing for us. And so I cover mostly the Asia Pacific and Silicon Valley regions. So probably from Silicon Valley around to the Middle East is my coverage area. And I help get people to space or get their get their spacecraft to space on a number of vehicles. We're launch aggregators, so we get capacity on just about every rocket out there, and use that to help launch small sats and do all the integration end-to-end services for our customers. Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
I have a lot of people. I'm a teacher, like during the day, so I have lots of students who are interested in this kind of new space industry. Are you seeing a pretty big growth in that area? Is it something that is actually going to have a job in the end?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so everybody's freaking out about coronavirus right now and the effect with regard to investment, because the majority of the new space industry is propped up by a lot of venture capital. There's been a lot of, let's say, I don't know how to say it. Not a lot of attraction initially to non-dilutive capital, which is what we're going to call government money, in the past. But I think this time in the new space industry is teaching everybody that that non-dilutive capital and DoD intelligence and other government civil.
Can you speak English? Could you speak English, please? It's business speak, and it's 10:37. I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you.
Sorry, NASA. Okay, so a lot of people didn't want to get money from the government before. I think coronavirus is teaching them that that's probably a stable way of going about doing your BD. But over the past 5 years, we've seen explosive growth from venture funding, which is investors putting money into the space industry, which is a good signal that it's growing and there's interest in it outside of traditionally government entities. Did that make sense? Sorry about that.
Not a single word. I mean, somebody here understood it, but that's not. That's not a language.
He's talking color of money, baby. Color of money.
New space is growing very, very, very quickly. So there are a lot of jobs, and a lot of jobs for people that are not just engineers or scientists, like me. I studied economics. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, now that everybody's confused, let's talk about the really funny thing that you did last night.
Oh yeah. So on the lighter side of things, I was just like deep into numbers 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
And but on the lighter side of things, favorite part of the space industry is people. So I started this thing that's an offshoot of DC and San Francisco Space Nerd Happy Hours in Seattle. And since we're not able to meet anymore, I started a different thing, a live stream, much like all of the really cool things that Ron does, and actually inspired in large part by what Ron does, called Stir Crazy, where I get space industry.
I mean, seriously, I love when people say that. But
space industry experts, non-space people, people from different. We had a lead singer of a band on 3 weeks ago. And a new space design company on and stuff like that, but just to have fun and have a lighthearted conversation about anything. So I decided to bring my boss on, who I'm a huge fan of. Don't ever tell him I said that. But You're
quite literally live right now, John.
He has this satirical startup rocket company called Ornithocket, Synergy Ornithocket. That is, I don't know how to explain it outside of you going to the video from last night and watching it. It's just one big satirical, based on ornithology or the study of birds over the past thousands of years. They think a no hardware approach to space launch is the easiest and best way, because if you go with hardware, it's right in the name. It is hard to do. So it's a lot of just BS. Honestly, pardon my French, but
it's complete BS. How was the language in it? Because I'm going to play part of it in a minute.
Yeah, there's 3 F-bombs dropped, but I think I did a pretty good job of putting a scroll on the bottom whenever there was one dropped. So,
okay, perfect. So we're just going to watch a couple minutes of that. Is that okay for Eric to hear an F-bomb, George, in case it pops up? Just checking to make sure.
It's your show.
Well, no, but I mean, but it's still, but you're still his dad. I mean, I'm sure he's heard it before, but
I'm going to turn my volume down personally. No,
I'm sorry.
Just going to check to make sure. So it's really, really funny. Like oh my God, I was cracking up last night. So let's go into
last show. So now you've had about a third of the company so far. And we focus specifically on the space sector. So
skip it.
All right. So, Michael, I mean, we really appreciate your time. It's always difficult to be in a public-facing pitch competition, but hopefully we'll rise to the occasion. And of course, Amanda, if I've missed anything that you'd like to highlight, feel free to jump in. But we prepared a pitch deck, and
he starts off too nice. He gets so mean so quickly. So let's skip forward a little bit.
Every other technical decision becomes equally valid. So it's a great enabler of and a liberator of engineering thought. So originally, this was founded as Synergy Rocket Copter.
And don't forget the word synergy either. The word synergy is a very powerful word. How we're going to come together and build this rocket copter.
A rocket copter.
If you want to elaborate on that, go ahead. I don't want to.
I mean, it was founded on our mutual great love of the word synergy.
We love
and how little it's used in our society.
We thought about naming the company Ultimatum Ornithocket or Legacy Ornithocket, or we really respected the Bourne film names. And we thought some of them were better tuned to the DoD market, some of them a little bit better for civil or commercial. But yeah, Synergy Ornithocket reflected how well we thought our efforts were coming together. But Rocket Copter, which was the original founding, it wasn't enough. And Kayvon, I think, in what he called a fugue state or a moment of clarity, I don't know, he's not on the line, came into the office, heaved into the office one day and said, guys, we're not thinking originally enough.
It's the removal of the glasses.
And so then,
there's so many little
what about an ornithopter instead of a helicopter as the basis for the launch vehicle? And we started to work this out, and it became very clear to us, as the slide indicates, rocket plus bird equals money. Next slide. John.
Oh man.
Excellent. All right. It starts with an idea. Sorry.
Just real quick. So I just want to do a quick. Hold on. Let me pause this just for a second. Just
there are so many people that would believe this is a real thing.
Oh yeah. They nail it, and so I feel bad for Eric because so Eric, this is what you're heading for. You with your genius mind going like you're going to end up in some major college, and someday you were going to hear business speak that drives you nuts. Like it's just I posted about it before. Like had John been near me, I would have ripped his beard off 15 minutes ago. People talk like that. It just drives me absolutely crazy. No, I'm just kidding. There's a video that's going around on TikTok where it shows like an actor who's ripping his beard off, but it was like pasted to his face. But it's one of those things. I'm just like, let's circle back to that. I've said it. I do say it, and it drives me crazy. I'm like, where did I even pick that up? I've only been doing this for a year. That's not how I speak. And I just always find that. But that's what's so funny about that is that synergy is a word that's not used enough. Synergy said constantly. It's just like paradigm shift or all the right.
Yep.
like seriously, George.
I hate paradigm shift. I hate it.
Hate paradigm shift.
Misuse
doesn't.
Disruptive. Everything is disruptive.
Everybody's gonna be disruptive.
There may be like 5 actual examples of disruptive technology. The wheel was disruptive. You know?
Well, I mean, we've got to give it to him. Like the person that was actually did something disrupted was SpaceX. Like that completely changed everything with landing rockets.
Well, I mean, we're not
saving money.
We're not there yet, though. Like we're not past the curve with as much as they've lowered the price, as they might say, you know, as a result of it. It could prove to be disruptive, but it might also not. So we'll see.
Yeah. See, John's a hater. That's what he is. Like,
I'm gonna buy a
I'm
ticket.
kidding. I'm totally joking. I'm absolutely kidding. No, but I mean, there's some good points to it. And man, listen, you've got when you have a couple of astronomy nerds on here, there's plenty of people that are like, "But that Starlink, man, can we fix that?" But I don't want to go too deep into that because we're streaming everywhere, and I want to have a job on Monday. And no, but I mean, I'm actually it's kind of it's interesting that we mentioned that one of my buddies that I was talking about earlier that works at SpaceX might hop on a little bit later and kind of talk about all the stuff that they're up to because he's been pretty deep in it for a while. I mean, he's been there like 8 years or something like that, just to talk about space in general, nothing like work stuff because they're not allowed to do that, but just kind of nerd out about like rockets and stuff because that's what he does, and he does it really, really well. But I think that we have some interesting things. Okay, let me back this up because I didn't show this earlier, and it's so cool. Let me remove your thing from the stream. That sounded wrong. Let me do. So this was the video of the lunar meteoroid impact that he caught, and let's watch this. It's 4K too. It's so pretty.
Ooh.
Let me do this real quick. Let me back up, start it over, start it from the beginning so that we can watch it correctly. Not the. Of course, you had to do that to me. 900,000 lumen. Really? So that's
press the damn skip ad button. There you go.
Yeah, I had to get past it first. The first 4 seconds. But this is super cool. That's his music, by the way. So he makes his own music. That's the video that he shot 4K of the lunar lunar eclipse, real time video.
That was it. A little flash.
And he backs up and slows it in slow motion. Shows it in slow motion.
Yeah, it looks like video noise. If you didn't know what you were looking at, yeah.
That's incredible, though, how bright it was.
Yeah,
it really was. It just shows how big it was. And he keeps zooming in, like he keeps getting closer on it so that we can see it better and better.
Oh, cool. That is so
awesome. And so, John, I don't think you were on yet, were you? This was during the lunar eclipse too. He didn't just catch it; he caught it during a live stream of a lunar eclipse.
That's incredible.
It's so awesome. So, real quick, I'm gonna nerd out because his next video is just as cool, really. And I know we were talking about it a minute ago, but we got to see this one right here real quick. And he's got a lot of great videos, but this video of so there's the re-entry nebula that everybody talks about.
I love this.
This video is awesome.
Who caught this?
This is Will Young, the guy that I do the Deep Sky Do stuff with. Look at that.
Awesome.
That's him losing his mind.
Does he live nearby, or did he travel for that?
No, so he lives in Houston. He flew down. It was for a NASA social.
Okay.
Man, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, it is.
That's phenomenal. There they are.
Such a great shot, man. Yeah. That's just
I have I'm actually a solar system ambassador. I haven't been very active lately, but at some point I would love to go do some of that NASA launch stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, well, we kind of got caught up here with this one because I was absolutely going to be at the one in 2 weeks. Like I couldn't wait to go, and I'm very sad faced indeed about that. But I'm hoping that once everything gets open back up again, I would really. For any of the organizations that I'm involved in, I don't care. Well, I mean, I've had people that have been to events for Stardom, and I would love to go on my own, but it's always been like, man, I want to send somebody that is a space flight photographer to go cover this thing. I would much rather more people get something out of it than me go and take like a crappy picture and be like, oh, here, we totally covered this. So why not send the person that's been to 15 launches, right? Or more, way more. But when it came to like this next one, man, this was the one I really wanted to be involved in. So it's kind of probably going to end up doing the NASA social and doing it for Space Foundation.
What is this next one?
Yeah, but because this next one, the virtual one that they're doing for May 27th, it's got a ton of people. I think they're saying yes to most everybody.
I got an invite for that.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm probably going to end up doing it because we're going to do a bunch of different things with it. So I mean, I'm excited about it. I definitely want to play around.
How are you gonna be going about doing that? Do you have a plan already in place?
I kind of do, but it's something that I'm working on with work, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm allowed to say with it yet.
Okay.
But I mean, and that isn't anything in a bad way. It's like if I can do it, so it would be something similar to this, but instead using OBS. And so the general breakdown of the idea that I have is that we'll start off a little early, probably about an hour early, and start talking about stuff, what the mission is, what it means, so on and so forth. Talk to some people from the Space Report, which is basically our news division that goes over all the data and everything about the global space economy and everything that's going on. It used to be a yearly thing. It got so big that the book was like this thick that they cut it into quarterly. And it's incredible, the people that run it. It's like 3 or 4 people. I think it's actually 3 people total that do this entire thing, and that's all they do all day, every day, is just pour over this data and like get out to everybody what it is. It's one of the best. It's one of the coolest things. We do a lot of cool things at Space Foundation, but that one's a really impressive one. And then next, so we actually got some comments. We got some people coming in finally. Well, we had some people a little bit earlier there, but hashtag Mario was on a little bit earlier. So we're gonna kind of mess around with that and talk to them about some of the cool things that they're up to. Talk a little bit about the launch, hopefully be able to share the launch through like the live stream that we'll be doing, like snag something from YouTube or Facebook, whatever it is. Then afterwards, talk a little bit about the launch, again, everything that happened, and then bring on some of the people that were there, also with some other science communicators that I work with. It's generally the idea. So probably around a 2-hour stream with the whole thing is the goal, but I have no idea exactly what it's going to be 100% yet. But that's what I want to do, and this is all my idea. Like they still have to say yes, but this is kind of the way that I'm leaning into it. In no way, shape, or form do I want to say like it would be really like we want to do something exactly like the Everyday Astronaut does, or we want to do something exactly like the show does. Not that what they are doing is incredible, and nobody touches that. But there are things that can be done in a separate way that I'm excited about. That I want to be. Oh, nice, very nice. So John's it's that time of night for John where he's going to be like gonna put the oil in the beard, tell somebody hello. So yeah, that's going to be a really cool thing. John, we're glad to have you, man.
Yeah, I might hop back in later, but
sure. Yeah, we're gonna be on for a bit, and tomorrow night's the big one with all the people that I've invited. So there's gonna be tons of them. So go have some fun, man. We'll talk to you soon.
It was nice meeting y'all.
Nice meeting you, John.
Later, John.
So that's a general idea of what I want to do, and then we're just gonna add a bunch of different stuff to it and see what happens.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
really. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I did some stuff. I guess I've been a solar system ambassador for NASA, like JPL, for like 6 years, I think. And I started off, I was doing like local astronomy stuff with it and the teaching, but I've just been very busy lately, and this stuff with the manned launches I'm really excited about. So I might start to do some of the solar system ambassador stuff related to solar system exploration, and also just kind of ride the wave of the excitement of people going back to space, because I think it's going to be a big deal. And I think that the fact that SpaceX is a part of it has made a big change in the excitement, because I know a lot of people are excited about space as a result of what SpaceX is doing, and to have people on board is just, it's going to be next level. So
yeah, it really is. Agreed.
I want to try to make sure that we get the excitement in public back to what it was, in the early space days. The shuttle was awesome, and I grew up, watching the shuttle, but the excitement wasn't there anymore, and that's unfortunate, because I think there's so many opportunities for what we can learn by going to space and by pushing our boundaries, like technologically. All of the NASA spin-off stuff that, for example, just anti-lock brakes, that save people's lives every single day. were developed because the space shuttle came in so fast that they would need an extra long runway, or you make anti-lock brakes and now it can stop in a shorter distance. So you never know what you're going to produce by going to space and pushing those limits and, you know, challenging ourselves technologically. So I'm all about it. Let's keep it going.
I can't agree with you more. It's quite literally the theme of Summer of Discovery. So every summer at the Discovery Center, we have a whole in-house, completely brand new exhibit that goes up. And that's exactly what this one is about. It's talking about all the cool things in space and the things you don't know about. Like, so we'll give you the chance to like touch space and see space, but we're doing a Twitter campaign, and we're going to do it next week, called Space in Your Place. And we are going to say, we want you to find something that you're like, there's no way this has any connection to space whatsoever. And then challenge us and see if we can't find some connection to it, like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? You know, how quickly can we get over to that next thing? So that's so we got Dusty, man. Dusty's hopping on saying the stream looks great, man. Dusty, let me know. You know that you're welcome to join in, man. He actually hung out with me a little bit earlier when I was checking out when I was trying to check out Restream and the new version of that. So we were nerding out, and he's actually he's working on a piece that he's going to send to me that I'm really excited about. That's going to be, so I've got the background up now, obviously, and I'll still continue to use that from time to time. But part of this, the room that will be the studio, I want to hang up like all the art and stuff that I have, man. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I think that there's oh man, I'm trying to think of the point that I was trying to make now without being like, oh yeah, hold on a second. Oh wait. Bam. So got one of I'm hoping that Liam will be able to showcase something here. So this is one of those things I like to call chasing rabbits. What on earth? One sec. Let me send this to him. So Liam has created something really cool called the ISS Above. And have you ever seen it, Eric?
No.
So it was an idea that he had that said, so we all know that we have something that lets us know when the ISS is passing, right? Or you get the app or whatever. He created a Raspberry Pi, and that Raspberry Pi starts like flashing lights to let you know when it's going to pass over within a few minutes, so you can go outside and look up. But he also has connected it with a couple of different things, like you can watch the cameras on the ISS and see like the Earth from space. Like there's a couple different things he did. He works very closely with. He worked very closely before with the Planetary Society, but even more so is now whenever you walk in. What's up, Liam? So whenever I went out to LA, was it 2 years ago? Was out there for an event. He took me over to Planetary Society, and we went in and we're running around and introduced me to. Well, I mean, I already met Bill, but he introduced me to everybody at the Planetary Society. Bill and I happened to be in his office, and in Bill and I's office is one of Liam's ISS Aboves, and that's actually the interview that I did with him that you've seen. If you've seen it of me and him, is me as us standing in front of it with Liam, standing right behind. So that's his. So Liam, tell everybody a little bit about this. I'm going to go grab another tasty beverage, and I'll be back, and I'll throw you up on the screen for a minute.
Oh, tasty beverage! Of course, you've just reminded me. That's what I should.
That's
what I should have brought to the show as well. Anyway, this is physically the ISS Above device. So it's a Raspberry Pi, and it has a very bright LED in it, and that lets you know when the next pass of the space station is, just all by itself, sitting on a shelf. And you plug it into a TV and it shows other stuff. If it flashes green, it means it's less than 1 hour from you. In fact, behind me, I have a version that's on my Lego. So this is a Lego ISS Above Lego space station. And then down here, it's got something that's sort of letting me know, because it's in my office, of course, when that is. But this is usually what people get. So if you're into Raspberry Pis, that's what you get. And a lot of people are not into Raspberry Pis. They don't know how these things work. So I ship them around the world. There's around 3,500 of these now around the world in science centers. There's one of them in Ron's Discovery Center at Colorado Springs at the Space Foundation. Anyway. So, and I think what got Ron thinking of getting me on here tonight was that there was just a really great visible pass of the space station that happened about an hour ago. The space station had a wonderful pass over where I live in Southern California near LA, and I live in a little town called Monrovia, and I have a 3-meter strip, LED strip that because I'm just crazy for letting the neighbors know whenever the space station is passing by. So instead of having holiday lights, I have space station lights outside my porch here. So that lights up the neighborhood when the space station's passing by too. And I realized I was just gesticulating, and none of you can see that because I wasn't on the screen. Anyway, and if you noticed, so behind the space station is actually going to be passing me by actually in about 30 minutes. These are showing some of the screens that output to an attached TV or monitor. So go through the news, the crew, and also the next pass and stuff like that. So all of these calculations are done on my device in Python. Yeah, so you see the next pass is in 29 minutes. That is not a visible pass, though.
Liam, I connect with you from Ron. I run an observatory and planetarium. I'd love to have one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly where a lot of them end up. Obviously, at the moment, a lot of those places are shuttered. No one's visiting at the moment. But despite that, the place where a lot of them are actually in private homes anyway. That's where I started off. I did this as a Kickstarter in 2014, January of 2014. I did a Kickstarter for this. And then Bill Nye bought one and just told everyone he loved it. Thank you, Bill. Anyhow, so one of the curious, did anyone here, were you on this broadcast an hour ago? So did any of you go outside? Because the space station, depending on where you were, where is everyone based? Just tell me where you're based. Obviously, I know Ron's Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs.
Yeah, Eric and George and Eric are 10 minutes up the road. Well, 20 minutes up the road from me.
Oh, there you go. You're sort of locally socially distanced. You're a little bit less socially distanced than.
I'm from Pennsylvania.
They may not have known it, but they've seen the ISS above it. They've passed it the Discovery Center every single month whenever we've done CS Astro.
Yeah,
like it's so in the back right hand corner of Space Lab is where it's at. It's one of the TVs that's in that. Like we've got the one here, and then on the opposite corner is the one with like all the food and videos and stuff like that. That's where it's at the Discovery Center.
Yeah. So you were probably on this show. Did you get to go out and have a look at it at all? Because there was something really special of this visible pass. Hands up who's seen a visible pass. The space station. Yeah, all of us on this thing. Yeah, so what can be different about a visible pass? Aren't they just like all of the others? The biggest thing is that I got to see the Northrop Grumman NG-13 resupply vehicle that just undocked on Monday, and we saw it sort of like in the very similar orbital plane to the space station. Not surprisingly, it hasn't gone that far from it, but that was a resupply vehicle docked with the station for about 80 days. They unloaded all the stuff into it. They threw a whole load of other stuff into it, but it also had a bunch of other experiments in it that when it undocked, it's now running those for about the next month. And we could see it. And usually, that's one of the really special times when there's a spacecraft either arriving or recently departed. If you have a visible pass, you can often see those during the visible pass too. A couple of things it's doing. The NG-13, it has a fire experiment on it. So they've been running some very intriguing experiments to discover what happens to fire inside a spacecraft. Obviously, fire. Yeah, that's right. You can't do that on the space station, right? Let's do a little test where we set fire to something on the space station. No, so it's undocked and it's now running a bunch of experiments on that. The other sort of really special thing that's going on with the Northrop Grumman is so since April 30th, 2014, NASA was streaming live views of the Earth from a very specialized platform that was attached to the space station, and that was called HDEV, the High Definition Earth Viewing Experiment. Well, that died after over 5 years of use in July of last year. And there was, say that again.
Sad face.
So, yeah, real sad face. Certainly for a few months. And then November 19th of last year, see, I just count down the days. NASA reassigned, they'd worked out how to reconfigure another high definition camera to somewhat temporarily take its place. And that's called the Enhanced High Definition Camera, EHDC. So that's what is giving us live views at the moment. And I'll probably run one of those. But so here's the connect between all of that. Before the Northrop Grumman was undocked, they used the Canada arm and they went and didn't pull it, they released the HDEV platform, which is really quite a substantial experiment. It's gigantic. It's sort of, you can't even see how big it is. It's gigantic. Very heavy. And they have to dispose of it. So the place where it's plugged into is a really valuable real estate. It's on the Columbus module, which is the European Space Agency module. And they want to plug other stuff into it now. So they disconnected it and they stuck it onto the side of the Northrop Grumman. And that was really something to see, because as it was undocking, I got to see, there's HDEV. And what's going to happen to it is it's going to burn up in the atmosphere in about a month. It would have been really cool if they could have found a way to return it to the Earth, because there's a bunch of unanswered questions about how it died, and also what was the long-term impact of it being up there for 5 years with high energy radiation, cosmic rays hitting it. There was no observable degradation of the image, which was really surprising to NASA. They expected to see that. Anyhow, that was the one thing that was super amazing. And I'm just sort of going on and on, don't I? So
that's the thing, though, is like, here's what it is, man. You're British in America. So you can say whatever you want to for as long as you want to. So I love going anywhere with Liam. So we walk into a place, say we went to go get pastries at the first place we hung out, and everybody there knows Liam already. They already knew who he was. And they have one of that pastry shop too, don't they?
They do that.
Yeah. So people were asking questions, and he turns around and is like, "Well, let me tell you," and just goes off of this thing, and everybody starts kind of hoarding around him like, "This is so cool." It's like, well, if you would like to get one, I know the guy wearing the damn shirt.
That's right. Exactly. I'm like the cable guy coming and visiting the shop when I go there. It's been there for a long, long time. Anyhow, and here's the connect. This is what I'm trying to create. So we're leading up to the first return to space from U.S. soil on the 27th of May. And so there's a lot to be thinking about, what's going on, on that space station. And this is the connect. We're in lockdown. We're in stay safe at home, however that occurs for you, but really limited social distancing. But here's an incredible thing. I've often had people, when I do a live stream, I Facebook lived the thing tonight. And what I've often had is, as the space station's going over me, I find a friend in Arizona, they're also watching it at the same time. So we're seeing the same thing in the sky, being amazed by it at exactly the same moment in time, and yet we could be 1,000 miles away from one another. So that was, what was possible tonight. If it was clear in Colorado, you could have been watching it. It would have been slightly lower in the sky for you. Naturally, just the orbital mechanics of it. As I was watching it, it peaked about 80 degrees above me. And at that point, it could have been, 30 degrees in your sky.
40 degrees, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyhow, that.
Hey, Liam, Eric has a question for you regarding the coding, the Python portion of it.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So I was wondering what exactly the program was and what libraries you used to build that, if you used any or if you just coded it all yourself. Like, what was that? How long did it take to develop?
Yeah, so yeah, as one knows, one never necessarily creates something completely unique. So the orbital calculations are done using so it's all in Python. The orbital calculations are done using something called PyFM. So if you were to check out that, you can install the PyFM library, and then you can do the orbital calculations yourself. So you simply, the PyFM library needs access to the orbital elements for the satellite. It could be for any satellite. I just happened to pick, obviously, the space station. And then using that library, you can get it to tell you when passes are happening, how far away the space station is, a whole bunch of things you can get from that. And then the actual interface stuff, the actual graphics and things, that's written again in Python, and that uses something called Pygame, which is essentially a library for gaming, for creating games. However, it obviously utilized it to do all of the user interface stuff in this case. And then the other major component to it is the way I display live video. And I'm just going to control my little box here so I can switch on the video, because I've had it switched off. Because, the other part of what this does is it tracks the space station, knows when it's in daylight, and when it is, it will actually show live video. So it is in daylight right now. So if I just happen to switch on the live video feed, usually yeah.
I was playing the videos.
Say that again.
Doing this last time. I'm like, I don't want to bug him, but I know he has them.
What's that?
Liam's are so much better than everybody else's.
I missed what you were saying there.
Look at that.
Yeah, there you go. So this is live from the space station. And this is that EHDC camera, the enhanced high definition camera, which is actually a modified Nikon camera. And this one is positioned at the very front of the space station, pointed towards the commercial docking adapter. And that is where the Crew Dragon is actually going to dock. So this was purposefully positioned there. It doesn't have any pan tilt capabilities. It's in a fixed orientation, but it does. It can be zoomed in and out, and this is a slightly zoomed in view. But wow, look at those clouds. So
THICC thick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and usually when I've got this running in a standard mode, I also have it position of the station. I've just switched that off randomly before I came into this. But the ISS above tells you where this is over. Wow, those are beautiful.
It is nice.
Yeah. And you do get to see some really remarkable things. When we were first going on about this, potentially, coming on to Ron's show, I was planning on queuing up some recorded ones that I've got that I can show you. I could show you electrical storms from the station, also city lights now. If it's clear when this is going over an area that's in darkness, you can see city lights really, really well.
And tomorrow, so to be clear, like if anybody's watching that's watching on the different channels, I see that people are. This is not the official live stream. We're actually going to do one tomorrow. That's going to be a little bit more, I guess, on the curated side. But we're glad to have everybody on here and hanging out. But this is cool stuff. So he's going to show us stuff that's going to be a little more awesome tomorrow. Oh, the man, the myth, the legend, Travis is here. What's going on, man? We can't hear you too much. You got a mic.
So did I just want to check? Did I answer the question about how this thing works for you? Do you use a Raspberry Pi yourself?
I don't, but I've done a little bit of Python in a class. I'm taking the AP Computer Science Principles class right now, which a lot of the year was in Python, which is why I was curious. But just the library that you mentioned, does that give you all the information about the position and day or night, or do you have to make an extension for that yourself?
No, it's all pretty much built in. You have to use Python in order to deal in the correct time elements, but it's really basic stuff. So there's even some code, I think, on either on the Raspberry Pi website or on something called AstroPi. AstroPi is actually a couple of specialized Raspberry Pis that are on the space station, and they allow students to produce code and they upload it to those devices, and then your code can run. That's exclusively something that's run through the European Space Agency, so we can't get involved in that. However, there are a bunch of courseware and things that will show you how to use PiFM to actually do all of this stuff. So, and certainly it's worth you getting a Raspberry Pi if, they're really, really easy to get into if you're into coding. So I'd recommend getting one. Just buy them off Amazon, buy a little kit. My code only works on a Raspberry Pi Model 3 and below. So if you have the latest model is a version 4, and my code doesn't work on that because there were some changes to the way the GPU processor was supported. That means my code doesn't work on it. It doesn't need a Raspberry Pi 4, and they are more expensive as well. So you can just buy a basic Model 3 Pi, and you can actually get the download image for ISS above really inexpensively. And that just, you download the image and write it to your own 8 gig card and then plug it into it on. It's somewhat of a closed environment, so you can't get in there and look at the code. And that was because my device is utilized in a lot of public locations. So I had to lock down the interface. In fact, that was what was needed to get it supported at places like NASA. So one of my devices is actually running a set of LEDs that are across one of the gates to Johnson Space Center. So, it's sort of like that's the way that works. But nevertheless, I'm
real quick. Let me do something real fast, Liam, and then I want you to continue just real quick. So we got to lose the man, the myth, the legend. We got to lose Dave tonight, man. He's going to go Cosmos Safari's on the way out.
Oh yeah,
he's on the way out. He's going to go home real quick.
It's past 1 a.m. here, so I'm gonna get to bed. But thank you so much for having me on, Liam. Man, I'm very interested in getting one of those devices. So. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll have some of my students set it up. Maybe we'll get our own Pi. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yes, that will be the cheapest way for you to get it. You can just buy all the components. The LED thing. It supports a bunch of different LEDs, so I can help you in all of that. But I'd love for that to be that kind of a project. So it's been utilized a lot by students. Some STEM organizations have done that. Remind me where you are again. I thought you were all sort of close together.
I'm in Pennsylvania, so.
Oh, Pennsylvania. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I work in Amish country in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, so a lot of people know where that is. Just outside of Philadelphia.
Country. Awesome. Blow the minds of the Amish people with an LED lighting system. And
we'll get 2. I have an observatory and a planetarium, so we'll have to get 2.
That's right.
All right. Hey guys, have a great night. Thank
Do
you.
the Amish come and look in your planetarium?
Oh yeah,
yeah, of course they do.
Oh yeah. Not the planetarium, but the observatory. They're interested in with the eyeball observing.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
That's the key thing. It's got to
Even
be
better.
eyeball observing.
Yeah.
None of this fancy
nothing
electronic
digital. Nothing digital.
No, I got it. There you go.
But hey, you guys, have a great night.
Dude,
Yeah,
we'll
you
see you,
too.
man.
All
We'll see
right.
you tomorrow.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye bye.
And we got so Travis had to hop out real quick, but we got my buddy that is actual rocket scientist. He's going to be back in here in a few. But I know that you guys had a bit of a conversation there, and you were saying nevertheless, Liam. So go ahead and finish your thought there. I just want to let him go because he messaged on the private chat there was letting he went up. What was wrong?
Nevertheless, I can't remember what.
Come on, Liam. You got to remember exactly where you were in the
Yeah,
conversation.
that's right. Let me just roll back the tape.
Talking about the 4 versus the 3. The 3 was what you had.
Yes.
We talked about
We're on the LEDs. You
the
said we're-
LEDs over the
So while you're still trying to remember, let's
Yeah.
do this. First up, before we do that, so Liam, so now you know, hold on to that. I just want to do a quick introduction to Travis because Travis has been listening and watching all the live streams and stuff. And we don't get Travis a whole lot because Travis works a bit of a crazy schedule doing what he does. So Travis, what you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. How you doing? Always with hair that I'm jealous of. I think you can hear us.
No,
maybe not. He's on his iPad, and this is the first time he's ever done a live stream before. So I think he's trying to get it figured out and stuff like that. So give me 1 second here.
I'm just getting.
Yeah, he said his internet's being funny for some reason. He's just trying to figure it out because it looks like you can't hear it. So okay,
there you go.
So nevertheless,
for
the third time coming next summer, Liam Kennedy will say nevertheless one more time.
I got here. Yeah, nevertheless, don't worry about it. So yeah,
what's the pricing on Raspberry Pis nowadays? They first came out, they were dirt cheap.
They're around 40. So you can probably get a kit for around $60, $70.
Yeah,
that includes the power supply, a case. Let me just go on Amazon and do it. Strangely enough, I don't know if it's lockdown related, but I usually buy pies in 20, 30 and more pricing, which doesn't make the price any cheaper. They're pretty much at price, and so
Amazon's not one for bulk discounts.
Yeah, and you don't get them anyway, even as a if I was going to buy 150, they're $35 each, which is the list price. So it doesn't give you anything more. So, but I was looking at this before, and I think because I usually buy in bulk power supplies, cases, and things like that. So and oh wow, okay. No, I actually wanted Raspberry Pi. Oh yeah, let me just go.
Nevertheless, Liam went to Google trying to find the one thing.
That's right. What am I going to find
to share with the world?
Why I'm not finding it is because my search is on Prime Video.
Get off Prime! Liam, what are you doing?
There's quite a few Prime videos about the Raspberry Pi.
It's so much cooler because we were like Raspberry. And
Raspberry,
yeah.
Hello. Oh,
raspberries
in France.
taste like raspberries.
It's in France. It's called the Raspberry Pi. I'm sorry, we shouldn't be laughing. It's just the way. If you're French, I thought someone was joking with me, but then I realized that they were actually from France when they were saying it. Yeah, Raspberry Pi 3B Plus with a clear case, which is a good one to go for. It's $65 on Amazon. That's from CanaKit.
Yeah.
So that's that one. And then and my software, it's usually $30 for the download image. But if you remember the promo code, I don't know, let's just make something up. I'll make up a promo code. Sparkman. Ron is awesome, or something like that.
Something like that.
Ludicrous.
Whatever. I'm the dude that creates the promo codes. So it'll drop it down, especially for the student here and anyone who happens to be listening to this afterwards. You know, I'm just crazy. It'll drop the price down to $10.
There you go.
$10.
Yeah, let's get stuff. He
Can't
does
go wrong, can't go wrong.
Anyway,
with that.
what would it be? What's your
Liam-
show, Ron? It's, I don't know, Stardom. Is that okay for me to use Stardom as a promo code?
I've never heard anybody say Stardom.
It's the same thing.
No, it is.
What's it supposed to be called?
No, again, that is again your accent, but it's Stardom. You know,
Stardom.
because it's dumb. I mean, but yeah, if you look at it's like it's stars. Where the cosmos
I don't know.
takes the spotlight.
I like Stardom. I think you ought to go with it. Ron.
Stardom. What do you think, dude? How else could it be pronounced? For heaven's sake!
I mean, it's Stardom. If
Yeah,
you were to really, I mean, if anybody
star,
you speak American English, you speak English. So
no.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Anyway, we'll call it
you're more than
Stardom.
welcome. No, seriously, if you ever want to do anything like that, other than, I mean, I know that we're doing it now, and we can put that up so that way people can see it. Is if they want to hop on the website and use that one, use Stardom, Stardom, and we'll throw that promo code up.
Yeah. So just to be clear about this, that is the price. So there's because there's the download image, which is you just get the software, write it to your own micro SD card, and that's the one that will be $10. And then ISS above, the actual kit that gets shipped out to someone who doesn't want to go through any of that stuff, they pay the premium. I think the list is 147. So the same promo code will get 15% off that.
There you go.
So it's like a huge chunk off the download, especially inspired by the fact that there's a young student here who might be interested in doing this stuff, and
he is very interested in doing this stuff. So
there you go. So
let's just and this is the thing too, that one, this is completely I talked to Liam 30 minutes ago, like, hey man, you want to join in tonight? And talk to him about coming in tomorrow, like earlier today. Liam was going to be in Denver and reaches out to me. He's like, hey man, what are you doing? Like, I mean, he doesn't say it that way because he doesn't speak like I do, but not many people do. And he's like, Ron, hello. Top of the morning, Earl Grey tea hot. No, not really. But so he hits me up and says, hey, what's going on? He and his wife were in town. We're in Denver for I forgot what it was, but so this is what's really funny. You were in town. It was one of that personal development thing that you were telling me about, like the really awesome program, that course that you were saying.
yeah, the Lamont Forum. Yeah.
Yes. And I am almost 100% sure that whenever Loretta Whitesides and I talked, she was discussing the same thing, that she had been involved in it. And you mentioned earlier, I was doing that stuff because of both of you was one of the reasons that I ended up doing Loretta's course that she's doing now, because she was talking about, I was like, Ron, you should do this. It's really awesome, blah, blah, blah. Check it out. But so Liam is in Denver, drives down, comes to the Discovery Center, shows us the ISS above, donates one to the Discovery Center. Then we all leave. We go to eat lunch, and then he and his wife pay for lunch. Like, that's
what's
awesome.
that about? I know.
Yeah, they did. It's really that's just what kind of guy he actually. That's what a man woman person is in the space industry. Like, we have so many cool people that do awesome stuff. And to mention directly that one, Travis, can you hear me? We can't hear you. Let me unmute you.
Yeah, there we go.
Sweet. Okay.
There you go.
Right. So
technologically inept,
which is ridiculous for what he does. So I was getting about a year ago, I was on my way, and actually, George, I'm pretty sure I told you about this. On my way out to LA for Yuri's night a couple days before I saw Liam again, and getting ready to head out there, and three people that I barely know me, and like we've been Facebook friends. Hans, who runs Wavelength Brewery, and Bill, who is was a regular of this very cool SciComm bar. Basically, it's science communication. There's SpaceX stuff hanging all over it. Nothing on the TVs, but everyday astronaut and rocket launches and videos like that, right? And Hans hits me up and was like, hey, man, what's going on? You're coming to town, right? I'm like, yeah, I want to be there for a couple of days. He's like, you ever been to SpaceX? I'm like, no, of course I haven't, and I absolutely want to go. I had tried a lot of my different connects to see if I could possibly hook something up to be able to go, right? Didn't work out. And so he messages me at like 8:30 at night, or like 7:30 California time. And so while I'm out so while I'm messing around, kind of checking all this out or whatever, BS, and Hans is like, "Yo, let me talk to somebody real quick, man. I bet we can get you into SpaceX and go get on a tour." The person they messaged was him. Was
Nice.
Travis. So Travis is like, "Yeah, sure." And this is before we didn't talk to each other. I didn't meet him till the next day. Like a couple days later, whenever I got there. So within like an hour and a half, after something I tried 2 weeks to do, Hans and Bill, who barely knew me, were able to get me a tour. And Travis was the one that did it. And the funny thing is that Hans and Bill know so much about SpaceX that you would think that they worked there. Because as we're walking through, Hans and Travis are having a conversation like it's a conversation between coworkers. The way that they're talking about stuff, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, man, I don't know a thing about engineering. This is awesome. I'm so glad I'm here because space. And when it comes to it, of the rocket companies, SpaceX is my favorite. I love everything NASA's doing, SLS, and everything. It's great. But for me to have the option to possibly go to Mars one day, it's going to be SpaceX. Starship is like, it's like, here's all my money. So
sign me up, coach.
Sign me up, coach. So he and I, we lost Liam.
No, you haven't. That's the edge of the Earth.
Oh, that's the edge of the Earth?
Yeah. Don't worry about it. I'm hoping that we'll see some city lights live as it goes over the US in a minute.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
Anyway,
Well,
carry on.
We'll keep Phil and Travis doing this. And so hooks it up. We go. We hang out. Wait, we're going to private chat here. Yes. So they get a hold of Travis, and then end up meeting Travis. Travis runs us through and everything, tells us all about the place. It was just the coolest thing ever. I can't tell you anything about what I saw. I definitely couldn't take any pictures, but it was one of the coolest things ever. It's just it's the place where the future is generally being made, and it's just killer. And this is Travis is like, sure, cool, just doesn't know me from Adam, and I'm all sitting outside. I was there like an hour and a half early, just waiting. I'm just like, I do not want to miss this. And then and people were like, what? Why are you here? I'm like, I'm waiting on a tour. At what time? 7, like, what was we doing? Like 7:30, Travis? Somewhere around there? I think we lost him. Travis, maybe. No, we can't lose him. This is a good point. Can you hear me?
You're going to have to bear with me. I think my internet's dropping out again.
Oh, no, that was the best part. I was like, I was like,
he was building up to that for 5 minutes. Come on.
I was building up to the whole thing for just like how cool you are and how awesome that was. And that's exactly what it was.
I love this area, like especially like right now. So if I was back at work, no problems.
Yeah.
But down here in Paramount, they don't believe in having good internet apparently.
I don't know. So wait, Paramount, is that where Paramount Studios is? I know that I'm just throwing this out. Seriously, I'm not trying to be funny about it, but I mean, I know you were in the LA area. Is that actually where Paramount Studios is?
Oh, it's doing that lag thing again. I can't hear you.
How about now? Can you hear me now? Yes, no?
I should probably just call you.
So I would say if I could, but I don't have any way to
bridge.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, and he's gone.
So here's a question. Here's a question for you, Ron, from earlier tonight's discussion. When you're there and you're walking in the building between these two guys having that discussion, how much of the imposter syndrome did you have at that moment? How much did you feel you were just over your head?
Hold on just 1 second here. Let me text him just to let me see just real quick because I hate that because I really want to talk to him. Sorry, you guys can probably hear that click, tick, tap in there.
No.
Really? That makes me happy.
Yeah, it's
he's going plan B.
Out. Usually when something's tapping on the keyboard, you think, "Oh my god, yeah, I forgot to go on mute."
Yeah, well, I'm kind of interested. No,
do it.
That typing?
Nope. I'm not hearing.
Okay, so this has 4 different ways that you can utilize the Yeti. To where if all of us were sitting in a room, I could turn it on where it's omnidirectional to where everybody could talk and would pick all of you up, which is really cool. But I've got this to where it's just I speak into it. I was actually worried earlier when I was typing, you guys were probably hearing me. I was like, I'll keep trying to turn it off to make sure it's working right. But so he said he's going to plan B. I don't know what that is. Do you have Ethernet? So do you have Ethernet? That would be very important if you happen to have that. And so you asked me a question, George. I think you were talking to me, right?
Yeah, I was saying when you were there and you were going on the tour, you're in the building, you're between those two guys. How much of the imposter syndrome did you have, if any? How much did you feel just out of place?
Wrong thing. Not saying that what you're asking is wrong. But for me, it's that I have no real interest or anything like that. Oh damn, that sucks. Dusty's having an issue with his too. It seems like, well, I think that they're actually in different areas, but it seems like some people are having internet issues all the way around tonight. I don't pretend to understand anything about engineering. I love space and I love science, and I'm interested in it. Like, it's something that the people that I've worked with, like the Baileys and Sarahs and stuff that have a real interest in it. That I love SpaceX. That's not the thing that I understand of what's going on with it, but I do know that I can't wait to hear the next IAC or whatever it is that, where Elon's going to tell the updates of it. Every space symposium, I can't wait for Hall of Fame dinner until Gwen and team show the new videos and talk to them about it. That for me is like, I love space. And I want to explain what's out there. You were going to be, these are the people that are building things that may allow me to someday travel through it at the very minimum into, low Earth, to suborbital or, to the moon, or the goal is Mars. Right. So for me, it was just, I was grinning ear to ear. I was just soaking up everything that they were talking about back and forth. That one was a totally different animal. The next night at Yuri's night, when it was all these science communicators that I look up to, like Derek from Veritasium and Kyle from Because Science, and all these people that, like, I was almost one of those ambassadors. There was a possibility they might consider me, is what I should say, for that one last year. I just look at them, I'm like, Bill Nye's on stage, Story Musgrave's up there, all those people. Those are the people that are telling the stories that are the real educators. But I'm too busy fanboying. It's not really imposter syndrome because I don't think that I am one of them. I don't consider myself there. And there's just been so many people that are saying some really cool things. Like, dude, you're definitely in that area. Well, it's just because I don't have, 1 million subscribers on YouTube and 100,000 views or 1 million or 3 million views for video doesn't mean that you're not there yet. So I get a lot of those things, which is really cool. Yeah, I love that. I really do. But that's not where I was at. I was just too stoked. I just was too busy nerding out with all the people that were there. Just like, this is great.
There you go.
This is so awesome. Yeah. There are certainly things that give me imposter syndrome. We talked about it earlier, but those were not two experiences. Space Symposium, when I got back and putting on the panel and doing all the things I was running around doing, that kind of made me, I was like, I don't have a degree in this, man. Like, it's something that I learned from the ground up, and I've been able to do this. I love it. Liam throwing up the Wavelength Brewing, which is just such an amazing place. Hopefully Hans will hop on tomorrow night. I'd love for him to hop on tonight. Actually, you know what? I think he's up. Let me see what he's up to. Hold on.
Yeah, Hans's place is amazing. Just to sort of follow on from what you were saying, I'm not from this industry either. So, I am, I'm just a space dude, amateur astronomer. That's, and I happen to be in software development. So, not in the aerospace industry. So yeah, there's plenty of times where I've been walking through, when I got invited to Johnson Space Center, met the folks that, launched these cameras on the space station, met astronauts and stuff. I think I was coming to it exactly from where you were, Ron, which is, it's really, it's who you are for what it means that, you just pinch yourself. But, that's when I got my first visitor badge where I was, I could be unaccompanied around Johnson Space Center. I think I did a Facebook Live of me walking around Johnson Space Center saying, do they realize who they've let on to?
You can go wherever you want to. Because trust me. Wait, it says the guy that was trying to get 4K cameras on the outside of the ISS, right?
Yeah, that's right. And we may still need to do that. There's another story coming up about that. Maybe I'll share it tomorrow night. Yeah.
Just want to do a quick introduction. Imran's joining us tonight. Imran is so awesome. He and I, Liam, whenever I was talking earlier about the what we're now calling the Space Kind group, Imran's involved in it. Liam was thinking about doing it. So here's a really funny thing.
Oh yeah,
and then I'll let him do a quick introduction to himself and all the stuff that he does. Is so Liam a while back introduced me to his platform, the things that he did. Talked to me about this program thing. Loretta had posted something about something she was up to and basically brought up like the same program. And then Liam was going to join that program, but he's too busy with all the stuff that he's doing and was laughing about it. So like all these things led to this. And so whenever you message me like, hey man, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, dude, just join in because this is perfect timing. like you just jump into BS with it. So he was talking about like the live streams and stuff. I'm doing like, dude, jump in, join the conversation. That's what these are for. But dude, tell everybody who you are and just all the cool stuff you do. And Liam, you will appreciate this. You have well, I mean, I'm not saying that you're like right up the street from each other, but you have both have the cool accents that are going to make the rest of us look bad.
No, I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico right now. But yeah, I'm pretty interested. I mean, I love space obviously, and I'm into it and stuff. But like, my background's mostly in working in film and TV production, and then the finance and business side of things. That's why I'm here in Santa Fe. I'm from New York City, but from England originally. But I've been here for like Nottingham.
Nottingham, yeah. I used to live in Coventry, Warwick, Leamington.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I went to Birmingham. Uni though.
There you go. Yeah.
Close. Yeah, it's close to Coventry.
Used to work on the Hagley Road.
Oh.
In Birmingham.
Cool. Anyway, yeah. I know that. I know that place. yeah. I was in. Yeah, that's where the uni is in Edgbaston. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I was there for at least like living there for 3 years, and I did astrophysics there at Birmingham Uni, and but yeah.
What a coincidence.
So where are you from in England?
Well, yeah, I was born near Cambridge in a little town called Haverhill, and then, moved, created a family. I went to Coventry University. At that time, it was called Coventry Polytechnic, and then, moved out this way 25 years ago, 26 years ago, coming up. Yeah, I guess it is coming up for 26 years. So, yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's a long time. I've been in the States for quite a while, about 15 years, 16. Yeah. Kind of, I miss it. I miss England. I miss home.
I miss it. I was only there once, and it was awesome. I was there for like 2 days, and I had such a blast. It was very great. It was actually that was the last trip that I had with my mom. Was we were in London.
Cool.
For 2 days and took a trip, went to Paris. So the last time I saw her was Paris, and that was after we went to the Louvre, which was super awesome. Ate some awesome French food and came back home, man. So that was that was a really cool trip for me, and I can't wait to go back. Science Museum and everything that we saw there. London is one of those cities very much like Dublin, Paris and stuff, that New York City even, that you can't see it all in years. But you can hop on a bus and see some pretty cool stuff in a day if you really want to. It's like we'll point out the big things that everybody wants to see, and then a couple of things that might be of interest to you. So Google some cool stuff, finding like some out of the way things. Do the Bourdain. Don't go to all the natural places that you would want to. Walk down some not some dangerous back alleys, but some good back alleys, and find that food that is the real food, not the stuff that's just being sold to tourists. And go have some fun with that. And we had a really good time, man. So yeah, I would love to do that. It'd be really fun to. If someday the Stars Unknown show takes off, man, that's definitely a place I would love to go. Hey, there we go. We got Imran and Liam. That's the episode with you two guys, man. We'll start in New York City, and we'll start in Santa Fe. I'll hop over there, and we'll talk about all that stuff. Talk a little bit about film. We'll pop over to LA and Pasadena, and we'll pop by and say hi to Bobak and Bill, and hop on a plane and head over to London for a little bit and nerd out for some. So George, I see that you mentioned to me that you got a bill in a couple minutes, man. So if you guys want to say a quick bye to everybody before we continue on.
Bye to everybody. No, I was going to say, you guys are talking England. I've been over to. I worked over in York for a little bit. My radar is over there. Beamy's Paintballs outside of York. So I was over there
radar is over there.
Cool. Yep. Well, not my
Well, you
radar,
can't
but
just sort of.
it was over at RAF Filing Dales.
Oh, okay. You mean a military radar installation?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, super secret stuff. Yeah.
Not really. It's old. It's all right. It's no big deal. But I love it over there too. I've been over there many times and love it. Well, last time I was there, took the opportunity, had a free afternoon, and went from York all the way across to Manchester. Jumped the train over to Liverpool and did the whole Beatles tour thing for an afternoon. And spent the evening at the Cavern Club and went back and hopped the plane out. It was absolutely wonderful. Loved it.
A lot of good stuff to go visit. It's a small country, but 70 million people live in there. Wow.
Yeah, love it. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys. Well, we gotta drop out. This was gonna get to bed. So,
sure,
Ron, thanks very much. Been an entertaining evening, both times.
Absolutely, man. Always
we're going 2 hours now. What do we do? Like 4 hours, 5 hours altogether?
So I started somewhere around like 5 o'clock. I took about 70 minutes off and came back again.
Yeah.
So we've been doing. That's one of the cool things about it, man. That there's a lot going on. There's not a whole lot of stuff where people can do this, and I think it's fun to do Zoom stuff. There's a bunch of really cool Zoom things that are out there. You can do, murder mystery stories, and somebody I know is actually quite literally, and not in a bad way, they're playing a secret Hitler party. Like you've got to figure out who like the evil like world ender is, blah blah blah, and that's kind of thing that you've got to go through the mystery. So like it sounds weird. I'm like, my friend told me, it's like, we're doing secret Hitler. I'm like, that sounds terrible, but you're a really good person. What are you doing? So no, it's a Zoom thing. And I recently did one too. I know exactly what she's talking about, where you've got to figure out who it is in the group that is the person that's undermining the world power, I guess. Like that person is the Hitler person, but you are one of the other world powers, and you have to figure out who's trying to screw everything up. Like that sounds really cool. She's like, you would love this. I'm like, I totally would. Because I was like, you're better than this. But we've got to find different ways to do it. And this is a perfect way of just saying, do you want to jump in? Do you want to talk about stuff? It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be serious. It can be if you want to be. If you want to get real deep in it, I'm totally fine with that. But this is a fun way to be able to play around and just enjoy what everybody else does. And there's so many different faces and voices in space and science. And I bit my tongue earlier, so I just did it again because it's swollen up. But there's just a lot of stuff that's really cool out there that we can do. So always glad to have you guys in here, and especially since you guys were around when I didn't even know how to use a video camera, really.
That's right. This is true.
So guys, I'll see you soon. Eric, good luck. I know you got some of your stuff that's coming up this week with class and stuff. I know you're gonna blow it out of the water 4.0 and all that stuff. So go kick butt, man. And we'll see you soon. All right.
Final AP exams, and then or one AP exam, 2 parts next Friday, and then
oh, no doubt you're gonna kill
it. All right, gentlemen. We'll see y'all later. Cheers.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
We got one of our friends in here from Twitch, Foopa-de-doop. What's going on? Saying hello tonight, so we're glad to have everybody. So, Imran, we were talking a little bit about it earlier. What you're up to, what you're doing. And you mentioned film is kind of your stuff here. So feel free to kind of share what it is that you love. Obviously, you're more and more in space industry stuff. And we've been talking about it a little bit back and forth, and I got more space stuff. You got more film background, and there's definitely obviously friendship that's kind of sprung from that, like it is with more and more of us in that group. The more we get to know each other, the more that thing pops up in the space kind of group we're doing with Loretta of, oh, you do this, I love this, and all of a sudden you know that we're not the only conversation that's going on right now. And if we are, it's only because everybody else is asleep, and they're just going to start tomorrow again of the people that are connecting with each other because of what she did with that.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, mine's. I mean, yeah, no, I'm not. I like the whole space kind, space kind thing. That's the course. It's really good. And then, so I'm pretty like my background. Because I went to school for astrophysics, but while back in England, and then but since I graduated and came here, but I've been working really in film and TV production, mostly in the accounting, finance side of things, the business side of stuff, and just working from just like it's like contracts of TV show begins and ends. You can move to the next one. It's a film or a TV show. It's what brought me out here in New Mexico. But so
go ahead. I was just figuring we throw up the video space there. Everybody can still hear you. You're good.
Cool. So and now my passions in space and bringing space and combining it with the arts and making I'm running my own TV show right now, and but I really want to get into the creative side of things. I kind of the work that I do as a day job to pay the bills, like working in finance for. And right now, I just got off working with Warner Brothers on a TV show, but it's just.
So
it's just the way but it's just like a day job though. It's just, it's not what I want to do. So the space stuff is what I want to get into. And just doing anything, combining it with the arts, but using video or film or any kind of different forms of, other forms of art, and just, doing and just creating stuff and just getting out there and spreading the word. And so that's where my passion lies. And the stuff that I'm doing as my day job is just something that, I do to pay the bills until I can get to a place where I can do my space, do space stuff full time.
I love that, man. That's exactly what I did, man. There's nothing wrong with that. It was, I did a job that I really, really loved, and I had a blast with it. And when I fell in love with space, man, all of a sudden it was like, I'm done with this. I want to get out of this as soon as possible. Like, how did I go with being absolutely in love with something that I thought was going to be the thing that I did for the rest of my life to this is just a piece of my life. And I while this is great, this is absolutely not going to be the rest of what I do forever. What's next? How do I go to the next thing? What do I do from here? And the cool thing is that, not saying that there's not the possibility to utilize music and DJing in what I do in any way, shape, or form. I mean, that's actually kind of one of the things I want to do with the Stars Unknown show, is to say, I'm going to hop on a plane. I'm going to go to a place. I want to go see this particular person. I want to talk about all the awesome space stuff that they do. We're going to go to a conference, or we're going to do something like that. And while we're there, we're doing that stuff during the day. And then, in the afternoon, evening time or whatever, we go and we experience the awesome food in the area, and we see the world that this person comes from. But there's also the let's go to the Michelin star restaurant. Let's go to the nightclubs that are there. And then once we get done the nightclubs at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, let's pack up some awesome OPT like radiant telescope. Let's drive out to the middle of the desert and light a fire and sit out there at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and talk about all the stuff that matters in life. Every single thing we did that day is still a piece of life. All of that matters. Every single piece of that is something that rocks, man. That's something that's worth talking about, that's worth being a part of. There's no reason that you should be upset or worried about that, or saying that, DJing matters as much as this matters, whatever it is that your passion is. And, there's a lot that you have with that. I mean, you work on actual real TV, and that's a really cool thing to have that, because for me, it was a TV show. A TV show did it all, man. If I had not turned on, if I would have just said, all right, that TV show looks cool. I saw the previews for Cosmos for a couple weeks here and there, and I was like, all right, whatever. That's cool. And there was nothing else for me to do that night, because I was like, what am I going to do anyway? And then to find that and see that and be like, man, this looks cool. Let me watch that. And for that to just it was completely happen chance. Don't believe in Kismet or destiny or serendipity or any of that. But it was one of those things that it still happened, and I still was able to go and see this incredible, thing that changed everything for me. And I just love that. But I also found something that I could utilize the skills that I had as a DJ, as an entertainer, as a show person, as an MC. How can I take those skills and put it elsewhere? And how will I move those things over? But I was just as nervous doing my first interview as I was when I DJ'd, even though the first time I DJ'd, even though I'd been in front of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people before with that, or had a room full of people, or had nights where I'd made thousands of dollars, or done all these things, it didn't matter that once it came to space, I'm talking to Dr. Paul Hertz, the director of astrophysics at NASA. This is the guy behind all the science of all these things. How can you not be a little bit nervous? But he's just grinning ear to ear and thrilled to talk about everything from Kepler and Spitzer all the way to all the new stuff. And that's just the awesome thing about it, man. It doesn't matter if you were, fresh faced and can't grow a mustache, or you have, a full head and beard of gray hair. Everybody loves it in such an intense way. And it doesn't matter if they've been in it for a week or 20 years. There's so few people that I've met so far that do space as just a job. It is the passion that they love, that they put all the time into, that they're doing this now. So yeah, man, I think there's just it's so awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Do you do any more DJing, or have you done any DJ work in a while? No.
No. So I made the joke one night, and everybody was laughing about it because it ended up with a ton of likes and comments on it, just because all my friends were laughing about it. Then I said, you know what, man? I've been out of DJing for a couple months, and I'm coming out of retirement. And then I just started laughing, and I said, for myself, because finally I was going to get to sit and play the music and DJ and do all the stuff, all the stuff that I wanted to listen to. So that way I could sit and I could mix and stuff. But no, I don't have any of my stuff anymore. At one point I had an entire mobile DJ setup. I sold all that stuff. Then I was down to like a mixer and like a couple other different things like my own microphone. By the time I got done, I was DJing in a club where I wasn't using anything but my hard drive and the virtual DJ that I had on there. Now though, I really wouldn't mind setting up something and having some fun with DJing again, but to DJ and to do it with the music that I want to do it with and put it out there as something of, it's kind of like with video games that I have the ability now that once all this is really set up, that I could live stream and play video games and talk about astronomy while I'm playing video games on Twitch. Like we're doing right now, it's like a conversation on Twitch. I can do that. Then I could DJ and play music on Twitch and Facebook Live and all this stuff. So I may do that just for fun, just to be like, here's all the different things that I love. I adore video games. I'm gonna sit here and play Final Fantasy VII, remake, and I'm gonna talk to you guys about space if you got questions, or you can see me just get mad at the world, want to throw my controller across the room, or you might see me like DJing if you want to ask me about some stuff if I got time, sure. Or maybe we'll put like space stuff in the background, like kind of what Liam's showing there. Liam, are you still there?
I am still here.
I just wanted to check to make sure, because it looked like it's slowly moving into daylight, which I love.
That's exactly what you're seeing,
which is so cool.
And I'm going to put it back to me just for a second, because I hope you don't mind. I want to speak to what I've been listening in the background, Ron, while you've been sharing what you've been sharing, and what I got present to is you create a vision for your future and a vision for how you could see life existing, life being a certain way, and you create it in a very tangible way that I was really with you there. I wanted to be one of those dudes that travels the world with you and just sort of really, I just hear a bond, a connection, sort of being interested in other cultures. Just the way that you described it, I'm enrolled in that. I'm inspired by what you said, and I'm not sure that everyone has access to that way of creating a vision for what they're up to.
I see it. Like I see the shows. I have got more than I've probably got somewhere. If we were to do, depending on the channel and who would pick it up, and say it was 8 seasons, it was 10 seasons. I mean, I'm sorry, 8 episodes, 10 episodes, 12 episodes. I've got a minimum of 4 seasons in my head. And I mean, it's anything from, there's just such a large group of people.
Why not?
How can, if you don't know like Nightlight Films, if you don't know Adrian Maui, you have to go see what the guy's done. He has basically been in Aurora, like in the world of Aurora for let's show you some stuff, because I can do that. I keep forgetting that I have the ability to do that on this one. It's so cool. So his videos are incredible. So he works with Project Possum, and he and I we became really cool friends. He's been a part of Out Astronaut, like he's on the board for that and creating that one. And let me find some of his stuff here, because it's not going to be very hard. And wait till you see this. I've seen a lot of people do it, but there's a new Netflix series that's out there. The man's the best in the world. I don't know of anybody that can touch him. And he is just the most down-to-earth, nice guy. And so they can't do anything with Auroras for a while, because where he's at in Senya is so it's at the point where the sun never completely goes down. It's like it's part of it where like it's that. But wait until you see what this man does on these videos. And I'll put it up while we're talking about the conversation.
Yeah, let's have a look.
It's unreal. Hold on one second. Let me bring me back up. So I did the wrong thing here. These are his 4K videos of it that he has. And it's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Let's put it full screen. Let's get the ad off the screen first. So I think that should, I may have paused it by accident. There we go. These are his videos. Like, And it's not like the guy's sitting around like editing the videos to look this good. The man's in the best place in the world to watch this stuff and lives there, breathes it. We're talking about nights that are just negative degrees. He's out there shooting these films to share with the world what this looks like. The man can. I cannot wait to do an episode.
Norway or
yeah. So it's. Let me make sure that I spell it right here. So it's SENJA Island in Norway, and that's where he's been at. And we're talking about
look at that.
Living in the cold. Foobity Doop, love from San Francisco. Thank you for being on tonight. Appreciate it, man. But man, woman, friend, person. Look at that. Like and he does this, and it's the mixtures too, because it's not like he just stops at that. It's not just those. Let's go back here to like some of the other videos he does, because he's not just doing that. He also has. Let's go with Earth rotation time lapse. Let's go with this beautiful thing. And that's what he does. Everything is some sort of look at that. Yeah. Look at it. Look at it. It's so pretty.
He's tracking the stars, the sky.
Yeah.
That's really amazing.
Yeah, that's a great. Oh, look, upside down. That's awesome. Yeah, let's get you thinking. Get your brain saying something's wrong here.
How can you look at that? Then he is an absolute genius in what he does, and he's worked his butt off to make it the best of the best. And there is absolutely no way that you can't love his work. And the best part about it is just how much this guy loves what he's doing. It's such a cool thing to see him work so hard and put in these crazy hours, and just he's humble about it, and he's just absolutely murdered it. Like I don't know of anybody else that I know that there's some people that are there, but I was talking to him about it once not too long ago. Somebody that I saw that was doing incredible work, and I was like, "Man, your work's really, really great." And I was talking to him about, I don't remember how Adrian came up. I was like, "Yeah, man, Adrian is my buddy Adrian. I work with him with Project Possum, and I love all his work." He's like, "That's my idol, man. Like that's the guy that I look to." It's like, I hope I have the ability to do work like he does someday. I'm like, that look at that. Look, just stop, quit. And that's all of his videos. That's everything he does. And he'll do live streams of them, like where he's out freezing his butt off, and I don't even know what the temperature is. And it's just incredible to see those things and see these views that he has the ability to share with absolutely everybody. Yeah, man. Wow. It's so awesome.
That's awesome.
No.
Let me see here if I can find this. I want to make sure that we put his channel here at the bottom. So if anybody liked what you just saw there, here's the info for him that you can find. Adrian Maudit. Let me make sure I spell it right. It's Maudit, I believe, but I want to make sure I got that right. Maudit. I don't know why, but all of a sudden I have A-Team in my head because he's A-Team. That's why. He really is, right? So that's it. That was his work there. And sorry to just interrupt on that one. It's like that's one of the big ones for me that always makes me just kind of go like, oh my God, I get to be friends with all these awesome people and do it. You know, anytime I get to do any of the cool stuff like this, it's just sharing that. Like, look at that image. So, I know that Imran, you were talking about some of the ideas that you had and what you're gonna want to work on. And you said, full time. And we were talking a little bit about this on the, with our Space Kind group with Loretta. Is there kind of a vision in your mind of something that you want to do in particular? That's just like, we talked about our goals. Like, what's the big thing? What do you want to get out of whenever we're done, the end of June, what is the thing you want to get out of this? Or, what's the big goal and what's the big dream? And I know we split off and we talked to people, and we haven't, you can read it on that spreadsheet that we have, but I can't remember all of our 41 people that are part of that group. So what was yours, and what's the thing that you kind of want to do? And I'm gonna go refill my drink real quick, and I'm gonna put ISS above up here from him, and share with us your idea, man. While we're looking at the Earth from the International friggin' Space Station.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I kind of you can still hear me there, right? I think you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, I guess my big dreams and my mission is basically I really want to use storytelling and use the arts and combine it with space science and bring space to people, basically, to everyone, and using all kinds of different formats. Like right now I'm writing a fictional TV series, a sci-fi drama, but it's rooted in real actual science. And but that's just one thing, but it's like other things too, like you can use social media as a way to get across and make these fun little shorts or documentaries, and even using transmedia storytelling and just having all these different technologies and doing all kinds of great things. Have an art exhibit dedicated to certain to do with space stuff. Do a little a whole social media experiment, do that, and even do like immersive and interactive stuff and everything from photography to videography as well. There's so many different ideas that I have that I want to explore using different mediums of art. And it's all obviously to do with the universe. It's all bringing the universe to people in all kinds of different formats, whether it's on the computer, on your phone, or whether it's an art exhibit somewhere, or whatever it is. It's just so many different ways to reach people. And I believe that entertainment is like the key to get to people, to reach any person. I come from a science background, and as you know, it's very difficult to talk to people, and when scientists are really bad communicators most of the time. So that's why I think the arts are really important to relay, to express what is going on, from the science end, because there's so much great work that's being done around the world to do with space science, and so many great things that people just don't know about. If they don't watch an episode of Cosmos or read a book, they're not going to know. And most people don't. Most people don't pick up a book. Most people don't watch documentaries anymore, and it's just unfortunate. That's why entertainment is like the way to reach people. And we've got several billion people on the planet, and they all speak the same language of entertainment. So whether you do a film or a TV show or anything, just to put any kind of thing, any visual kind of stuff you can just put in front of them, they'll be able to relate to that. And you plant one seed, you plant, so much comes out of that. So it's making that impact on the world. I think that a lot of people just don't, and more space is becoming a lot more, becoming part of pop culture slowly because of private space agencies and things like that. And so it's becoming a thing. And even with social media, you got this science communication movement happening as well, and especially with the younger generation of people. And it's becoming a thing, but it's still, it'd be great for even those people to have a platform where they can actually express and relay their messages in the form of a story or entertainment or something like that, so they can reach more people that way. So I think science communication, especially space science communication, needs the arts to bring out, not just just to spread the message, but just to illuminate and inspire and entertain people at the same time, and you're educating people too in the same way. So that's my passion, is to not just to be, it's basically use the arts to bring space to people, and storytelling and entertainment, using those elements to bring it out. So that's basically what I what my passion is and what I want to do, like full time sort of thing. But obviously, it's something I only do on the side, but I haven't done as much as I want to, and because of work, it's always been 12, 16-hour days. But but even now it's a great time to start doing things because I'm not working. So, but yeah, I mean, this is it. So that's what I want to do. So yeah, but like right now it's kind of, because everything is just stopped or slowed down. Like in my work, production's just shut down. The work that I do, no one's shooting anything. It's just it's all done. Everything's shut down. So,
So quick question for you, Ron, and I don't want to take over too much, but I mean it's actually a serious question. So, when you talk about doing what you do? Are you like director of photography? Are you doing editing? Are you doing like effects? Do you do it all? Like, what is your
kind of my
specialty in
goal
that?
is to get to the point to do it all. So unless I want to learning all these other skills that I need to do that. But like I love being on the producing side of things, producing and writing, and just like in that and directing too. But really, like on the creative side of just of bringing the idea to life, sort of thing. But I want to learn the other stuff too, so I can have the skill set to do those kind of things. I don't know that stuff. Well, I know some of it, but I don't know to the degree that I'm okay when creating my own material yet. So, but I'm on that path to learn that stuff. But yeah, I'm more on the the writing, producing side of things. But I can do the basics of everything else, like the photography, the editing, the effects, and that kind of things. But it's not to the I'm still growing on that. I'm still developing the skills. But
hey man, I can't say enough about being the guy that's trying to figure that out myself.
Yeah.
Just like everything I'm doing right now is just completely, can I find, everything that I bought's been playing around, listening to people that are the people that are on YouTube that said, here's a breakdown of everything I use. I'm not going to blow it out of the water. I'm not going to tell you to spend $10,000 on a setup. I'm going to tell you that this is the best, wireless setup under $200. It was a guy that had just done a video saying like, I don't know, like, I think I'm done with using Rode. And now, hold on one second. We got a very awesome person who's going to join us in a minute that I'm super excited about. My nemesis is going to join us. I wish I say lovingly, one of my favorite people. But the guy's talking about it in the video and says, last month I did a video, and I'm standing behind that I'm done with using Rode.
Yeah.
When it comes to regular microphones on this one, I'm not saying it's a bad product. It's a great product, but this is the one that I'm going with. But now I have to say that this is a really awesome wireless setup. This wireless setup that I got for Rode, the Rode Go, the Wireless Go, is incredible. It's so good. It's so good. We got Shauna. I'm so happy Shauna's here. Like, look at this smile. Hey, Shauna, what are you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. We're just I've been testing a bunch of stuff out that I've been working on, and I was just kind of here. I saw your light was up. I'm like, you know what? I wonder what Shauna's doing. Like, Shauna never sleeps because she has 400 million things that she does. So I was we had somebody on earlier. We were talking about you, and I described the reason why you were the nemesis.
Some may call it inspiration, Ron. As it happens, I'm doing some space and space medicine related things. Have you guys talked about Possum 13 on the show yet?
No, quite literally everything that we're doing tonight is just completely off the cuff. So the one tomorrow that I was telling you about is going to be, you can jump in, you can talk about whatever you want to, but it's playing around with different things. So what I was originally wanting to do was going to be on this platform. And then today Restream came out with a new version of what they're doing. I'm like, I want to test this out. A test became a 2.5 hour thing. All I was going to be on was like for 3 minutes, ended up talking to a bunch of people for like 2.5 hours. I'm like, you know what, man? I'm not really doing anything else tonight. Like, I'm not going to go to bed early. I don't go to bed before midnight anyway, my time. So let me just talk to a bunch of people. And the more that I do it, like every single time I start one of these, I get a bunch of messages and people want to jump in. Or I see that people are online. I'm like, oh man, this person would be awesome to talk to. What if they're just sitting at home not doing a damn thing? And like, let's just talk to them about all the stuff that they do. So there's no particular rhyme or reasons for what they're doing, but Possum 13 is awesome, except for the year they had to deal with a guy that running their social media.
Oh God, he was the worst. I think he's running a live stream space show now, actually.
Yeah, it's terrible, right? Nobody watches it. They definitely didn't like the third guest on the show.
Worst. You look so comfortable there. Like you are in your element. Like I just imagine you doing this every Friday at midnight. Like this is Space Radio Hour live with Ron.
Yeah. But I mean, it probably will end up being something. So there's going to be a mixture. There will definitely be some stuff that'll be stardom, but the goal will be there's a couple different things I'm working on with a couple. I might be able to take two organizations that I really love and put them together in a really cool thing. and that I would be the lead for that, and then that would probably be like the Friday night thing, and then Saturday night would be the more of the free running thing. But one would be astronomy education, looking at the sky, looking at different things. So working on that. But no, I would love to do this. Just when anybody wants to jump in, let's talk about stuff. There's no rhyme or reason to it, and just see where the conversation goes. Like you have a script, it's fine, but it's always cool when, especially when it's live and you can get comments from somebody and somebody says something, oh, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all of a sudden that ended up being an hour conversation. Just somebody said, what's the problem? What's the biggest problem in science? And so I was like, that could be two separate things. Do you mean what is the biggest problem we need to solve in science overall? Like life and, are we alone in the universe? How did the Big Bang start? Or do you mean what's the biggest problem in science, as in we have a bunch of scientifically illiterate people in a world that's completely scientifically and technologically illiterate people in a world that is based around science and technology? So which way did you mean that? We didn't know, so we went on both. Everybody answered both sides of that question. It took us like an hour, and it was awesome. And we had no idea that was coming. So yeah. So Possum 13, anyway.
Yeah, no, but it's funny because I have thoughts on that as well. And for me, scientific literacy is the first thing that jumped to mind. So I'm on team scientific literacy all the way. Yeah, I mean, we could talk about that as well.
Whatever you want to.
Say that again.
I said talk about whatever you want to. Go for it.
Sure, yeah. So I can tell you about Possum 13. So hi to everyone who's listening. So Possum 13, for those who don't know, so backing way up, we'll start with Project Possum. Project Possum stands for Polar Suborbital Science of the Upper Mesosphere. Like everything else in the space world, it is an acronym. Say that again.
Say it just a smidge slower for people that don't
know.
know.
Yeah, sorry. You and I just we're both.
You went Ron. You went Ron. You heard the speed I was speaking at, but you can't say upper mesosphere without slowing down a little bit, right?
Well, POSSUM stands for Polar Suborbital Science of the Upper Mesosphere, and that is a citizen science not-for-profit bioastronautics program that initially focused on aeronomy and noctilucent cloud formation. But since then, we've done a whole lot, including very cool things like testing IVA or intravehicular activity spacesuits in zero-G and in water off nominal crash landing scenarios. So it's been a fun program. It's been awesome. I'm for those who don't know, I'm a doctor. I'm a physician by day. So it's like this Batman Bruce Wayne scenario, possum by night, doctor by day. And
it's possum by night. I love the fact you're like possum by night and doctor by day, physician by day. Like there's only two things on that list. She has 3 about me websites just to keep up with her list of things.
This is gonna turn into a Chuck Norris thing. Like she has 3 about me websites to like keep up, and or the most interesting man in the world. It'll turn into one of those commercials. But I digress.
She went to Thailand to learn Muay Thai with
Muay Thai ended up learning with
the Tiger King. Joe Exotic said, "She's too much for me."
The tigers bowed down to her. Okay, we're going to go down a whole rabbit hole here. So coming back to space, coming back to Earth a little bit. So Possum's been a fun ride. I'm the director of the Space Medicine Group, as well as the chief instructor of the Operational Space Medicine course. But this kind of comes back to your question about problems in science. And so I don't think anyone would dispute that one of them is getting enough representation and opportunities for less represented groups, people who are just starting out, students, and women. So the Possum 13 is a dedicated group within Possum.
What? Women don't have enough opportunities in things?
Shocking, I know.
Absolutely. People of color. Really? Are you sure about that? Yeah.
That is the breakdown, the gender split of number of women who have been to space. I think we need to change that a little bit.
Which Jason is very much trying to do. And not to
have you applied, Dr. have you applied?
Canadian astronaut
for an astronaut?
Yeah. So
yes, awesome. Sorry, I'm the guy in space right now, apparently.
I told you we had two really great accents when
Sorry.
you
Anyway,
cancel out
there you go.
mine.
I have a boring old Canadian accent, and it doesn't really come out unless I say a boot.
A boot. Yeah, there you go. My grandson's
No.
half Canadian,
There's at
so
least a half dozen
anyway.
words that you say that are very obviously Canadian.
It's true. I do get made fun of by the Americans quite a bit.
I don't need to make fun of you. That's how you speak, but it still is obviously an accent. Unlike other Robin Hoods, I can speak with a British accent. Okay, go ahead.
So in answer to Liam from Space's question, I did apply to the CSA, their selection. So there was a selection in 2009 as well as in 2016. 2009, I was nowhere near qualified. You needed at least 3 years of work experience to apply. I was still in medical school, so they said, run along next time. And then 2016, I thought I might qualify, but unfortunately, residency experience did not count as work experience. So it did not, although any doctor will maybe dispute that fact that it is in fact work. But that's just good. It's more time to get better for next time. At least it wasn't something that was permanently medically disqualifying, right? Because this just means that I have more time to work on the skills I need to be competitive. So that's the approach I'm taking.
Yeah, and there's a lot more space in space for people with your qualifications. The science that's done up there, the research. I'm thinking of Kate Rubins. She was on there a couple of years ago. She was the first genuine researcher who ever got a position, on the space station, and she managed to conduct some types of experimentation that no other astronauts had ever done. Because astronauts are highly trained, and they're trained to operate experiments on behalf of researchers on the ground. But Kate, because she came from a background of research with the CDC, hemorrhagic fever research, cancer research, she brought stuff up onto the space station that had not ever been used. She used pipettes. I think she did the first gene splicing or something on the station as well.
Trying to take parakeets.
Yeah. Anyway, so wow, yeah, and I don't know how many astronauts I've met where most of them, they're there after they got rejected, 3 to 6 times. So anyway,
there was the Spanish gentleman who had put it in a bunch of times and got rejected.
11. He got 11th time.
It was 11. Yeah. So he put him in. Okay. So what? So 10 times, right? And maybe it might have been like the 7th or 8th time when he realized what he was missing and said, "I'm going to start knocking these things out." And when that scuba certification, he learned to be a pilot. He started doing all the things he needed to do, and then the 11th time was the time that he got in. I just lost my mind.
True, because that's what I tell people. Like, even if you're not qualified, just apply, because the value you get in applying. Even in 2016, when I knew there was a chance that the work experience may not be counted, like knowing what they asked was so valuable in increasing my own experience level. So because of Possum, I was able to say that some things had improved. That I did have some experience, like I had microgravity experience, I had experience working in small teams. From other experiences, I had analog environment experience, but they specifically asked, do you have skydiving experience? I didn't at the time that the application started, so I went out and got my solo skydiving license. During that 3-month period was so productive. I got like several more scuba diving certifications, soloed as a pilot, got my ham radio, operator's license. Like, it was just incentive to do better. So even if you're not qualified at the time, it is just such an incentive to springboard, to catalyze yourself towards where you want to be as a competitive candidate. So for me personally, I found it super helpful.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. So, and I know I'm just sort of hopping into this conversation here. So you're also so you're a doctor in a hospital. Is that what I heard? Yeah. So
wait.
during this time as well. So that means you're dealing.
I want to make a bet that Shauna cannot tell you all the things that she's great at in one breath. It's that much, and that's why she's my nemesis.
I mean, there's a lot that I'm not great at. Come on, let's be fair.
Yeah.
Plus, there's a billion different professions in the world, but you're great at 15 of them. She can sing, she can dance, she can. She knows my Thai. She actually went to Thailand. And really, I'm pretty sure she kicked a tiger while she was there. I went through. I've brought on. I have quite literally had an astronaut on Space for You Live that I said less about than I said about. I just had to stop at like 10 things, which I just laugh about, which has been the running joke of why I say that she's an
Ron, on top of everything else that you do, I'm hiring you as my life coach because this is just amazing, honestly. I just need to hear your praises every now and then, and you know.
Well, here's the thing too, is that's the thing that we were talking about imposter syndrome earlier. I'm not saying you have imposter syndrome.
Oh, I definitely do.
And fair enough. Even if the fact that you do is that I was speaking about one specifically, and I've got to talk about it again because Mike Mongo was on, and I love Mike. I love everything that Mike does. Mike's incredible at what he does, and I talked about you. That's how you came up. That's exactly how you came up. I was talking about Mike and mentioned you, and Mike was like Ron, you're like the new superstar of like everything with science communication. That's coming from me, and I'm just like stop, and just like all those really really sweet things that everybody's been saying, which is awesome. And we were talking about imposter syndrome, and I brought this one up. So I'm going to let you go through the list of things that you do, and then I want to read this super awesome thing that I have that kills me every single time I hear it.
Okay. So for those of you who are new to me, hi, my name is Shauna. I am a Canadian physician, scientist, astronaut, aquanaut, speaker, martial artist, skydiver, pilot in training, VP of immersive medicine at a company that I like to say is building the next medical holodeck. You're right, I can't do this in one breath. And I'm also director of the Possum Medicine Group, as well as the chief instructor of the operational space medicine course. I am newly a clinical lecturer at the University of Alberta, and I am owned by 2 small parakeets.
That's a long list. I should be writing this down.
It's super super funny.
Yeah.
It's just like she's hey wait SD Green's back. Awesome. SD Green was on earlier and said Canada proud.
Canada proud, yes.
So let me bring this up here, and I read this earlier and I want to read this forever, and I adore this. So does everybody here know who Neil Gaiman is?
Yeah.
So the novelist does incredible things, like everything from graphic novels to novels, and like just did Norse mythology, incredible speaking voice, just everything's awesome. Lucifer, everything. Gets a message from someone. Says Ducks Wear Hats asked, "Hi, I read that you've dealt with imposter syndrome in the past, and there are a lot of like spelling and grammatical errors in this, so I try to pass over them. So if I stumble through, that's why I'm trying to like read it and also correct it, because it says you've dealt with imposter syndrome in the past. Like all right, there's a glitch in the matrix. So hi, I read that you've dealt with imposter syndrome in the past, and I'm really struggling with that right now. I'm in a good place, and my friends are going through a lot, and I'm struggling to justify my success to myself when such amazing people are unhappy, which has been very difficult for me with all this amazing stuff that's been going on for me. Like, I'm prospering in the apocalypse. Am I Negan? What's wrong with me? I was wondering if you have any tips to feel like this, to feel less like this, and maybe be kinder to myself, but without hurting anyone around me. It's a big ask, I know, but any help would make my life a lot less stressful. And so Neil answers with, the best help I can offer is to point you to Amy Cuddy's book, Presence. She talks about imposter syndrome and interviews me in it, and offers helpful insight. The second best help might be in the form of an anecdote. Some years ago, I was lucky enough to be invited to a gathering of great and good people, artists and scientists, writers and discoverers of things. And I felt that at any moment they would realize that I didn't qualify to be there among these people who had really done amazing things. On my second or third night, I was standing at the back of the hall while a musical entertainment happened. I don't know what a musical entertainment happened. I don't know what a musical entertainment means, but British people, right? British people, you know what I'm saying? And I started talking to a very nice, polite, elderly gentleman about several things, including our shared first name. And then he pointed to the hall of people and said words to the effect of, I just look at all these people and I think, what the heck am I doing here? They've made amazing things. I just went where I was sent. And I said, yes, but you were the first man on the moon. I think that counts for something. And I feel a little bit better because if Neil Armstrong felt like an imposter, maybe everyone did. Maybe there weren't any grown-ups, only people who had worked hard and also got lucky and were slightly out of their depth. All of us doing the best job we could, which is all we can really hope for. And I love that. Like, again, that's the second time I've said it tonight. I share it all the time. That's not the only story of someone like that. Sir Paul McCartney was on something with Chris Hadwick some years ago, and he had told Chris, he was like, that it had only been a few years before. He had been a sir for like 2 decades. Like, he had been of the Beatles, he said, and he was talking about the fact he's like, I thought at any given time people were going to figure out that I shouldn't be here, that I'm not all that great. I mean, you know, Paul McCartney's okay, I guess. I mean, Wings, what were you thinking, Paul? But no, but we look at that and we think about all these incredible people that are out there that are doing all those amazing things. And when it really gets down to it, so few, there's this weird thing. Does anybody know the healthy medium, like the middle ground? I either know people with imposter syndrome or I know narcissists in general. I don't know anybody really that says I've done really great things, and I get that. And that's awesome. But I'm also this. I don't know anybody that's that middle ground. I don't know that it exists. And is that something we should admit to ourselves? Like, there isn't that middle ground.
I have some thoughts. So I actually talk about this a lot. So actually I was giving a keynote at the Canadian Association of Science Centers last year. So like all the heads of the science centers across the country were there. So very smart people. And I asked them, I said, okay, who here has never experienced the imposter syndrome? And no one raised their hand. Like, in a room full of like all these accomplished, brilliant people. And so there's a couple of ways that I deal with imposter syndrome. And so first of all is to kind of acknowledge the feeling and then question it, but then just kind of be doctorally about it and dissect it and say, okay, why do I feel like that? So the example I always give is,
some of us can't be doctors, okay, Shauna?
But you can ask why. Every single one of us can ask why. And so, for me, like if I'm looking at my, hanging out with my colleagues and say, okay, I don't feel as smart as them. Then, okay, ask why. Is it because I don't read enough? Well, then that's a simple fix. I can just read more, right? And then, if I, is it because I don't read enough? And the answer is no. Well, then you tell that voice to go away. That being said, I used to think that I was fairly good at acknowledging and dealing with the imposter syndrome. But then I realized actually a big part of me just internalizes it. And my philosophy is honestly that, well, I guess I'm here now. I'll just roll with it and see how far I can go before people find out I'm not supposed to be here. Like, I feel like in a lot of respects, I've just forced to come to my way throughout life. And I'm just,
I can't wait for the other shoe to drop. Like, when's the other shoe going to drop? Like, things are too good. Yeah, right. Yeah, for real. It's just, you know what, man? I just keep doing this. I keep showing up, and then, and that's a thing too that, and it's funny that it almost makes it even worse. Is that for the first time, I have not one but a few jobs, and let's back this up. Is that I'm fortunate enough to have multiple jobs, which most people are terrified of because they're warned of like they're that means they don't have enough money. I could take one of the jobs and be completely fine, pay all my bills. I so choose to do that, and even look at a couple other ones that I can be involved in. And I am appreciated for the first time, even when I was good at what I did as a DJ, truly from everybody. And I had a lot of people that appreciated me when I did my job. I really did. I had great people that I was around, but it's everyone. I respect all the people that I work for. I like all the people that I work for. I may not always agree with the people that I work for, but I can also see what and why they're doing things. There are different reasons to be involved in space. And I get that. I have my own reason, and I have the passion that I want to put out to the world. But the thing is that they are allowing me to bring that piece to what it is they are doing. And that's awesome. But that's just getting the compliments, having the nice things said, people saying that they're proud of me, especially people that at one point get given up on me. All these different things. It's just was incredible. It was a super awesome thing. So it's difficult to keep up with all that and say, you know what? How do I deal with all that and still be okay with it? And it's put even more pressure on me in a sense, in a good way. But I wake up terrified that I've missed something. I wake up and I get this, I see that, wow, man, look at all these things that I'm seeing out here. What's going on? This is the coolest thing that I've ever been a part of. What am I going to do to screw this up? Are they going to find out something about me they don't know? And that's it. It's going to be the end of it. There's just all these different things that you just never really know. And that's just for me. So I can only imagine what the doctor and all that stuff goes through.
You know what though? I kind of get it. I kind of get what you're getting at. But my philosophy is I always assume that my 15 minutes are up. So I may as well just say yes to the next topic.
How much can I do while I can do it? Because everybody has that time, right?
Yeah, so I just may as well enjoy it while it lasts. Do what I can, try to do good for others. While people are still interested in what I have to say, and when they stop being interested, which I always assume is just fairly soon and around the corner. I always assume the coming year will be less busy than the next because that was just an outlier. So enjoy the ride while it lasts, and when there's downtime, take stock and figure out where you want to go next. And I think also reframing helps. If you end up if the shoe does drop, if you don't end up where you want to be, just take that time to reframe and alter that course correct, alter the trajectory. You're muted.
There we go. So I love that in the live streams, we often have a tendency to make up new words. Like you just did ultra traject. The other night we took galaxy and asterisk and no, I think it was asterisk. Yeah. And called it asterism. And we call it a galaxterism. And then I've had a friend of mine that came up with scientifical one day. So we're always making up new words here, which is the best part about it. So SD Green is hopping in and says, seeking knowledge is not being an imposter, methinks. I think that's it. I mean, I think there's going to be the bit of them. Okay, so we've got somebody that's kind of being a little bit of a troll, which is kind of funny because I'm looking at the comments. But the funny thing is that they decided to bring up the topic of sex and space. And it just so happens that one of the people that's on here happens to talk about around the world sex and space and why it's important, which is funny because I was like, Shauna's pretty much one of the most serious people I know. And all of a sudden she's done 3 talks in the last 18 months on sex and space, which of course is a thing, but I'm just like, I thought that was kind of surprising. So you want to mess with them a little bit? Give them the real, I mean, don't answer the question they specifically asked.
So for those
it's a very important topic, and Nimron too, man. I know you haven't talked about anything in a while, man. Feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I find this sex in space. It doesn't get better than that. I kind of want to know. I want to know what's going on with sex in space.
Yeah, please don't, dude. If you haven't noticed yet, I never shut up. So you're more than welcome to jump in and talk about whatever you want to. We'll talk about everything. So, but yeah,
no, I find it fascinating. Like everything that you can do, all your job titles, it's just mind blowing to me. That you have all this experience and you qualified and all those things, and you do it. And I don't know how you balance it all out too, being a doctor by day and doing the other stuff by night. It's crazy. You're still breathing.
I have people in my life. I have good friends, good colleagues, good family who, they encourage me when things are going well, but they also know me well enough to reel me back in and tell me to dial it back when, I may not do that. I've learned a lot, and I've joked a lot this week that doctors are notoriously bad at diagnosing themselves. And I can't even take credit for that. It was a very high performing friend of mine who was a physician astronaut who said that. And, I thought about that as I went through my medical career. It's so true. as doctors, you're kind of always, you're the front line. You cannot afford to be sick. You always have to be the one that, you know, powers through, plugs on. And now I think this pandemic has actually forced us all to take a step back because, you know, now, whereas we may have previously worked if we were dying of the flu, we have to, for the sake of us.
It's all fake. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You know, we had to, for the sake of others, to dial things back, and, you know, not work at the hint of a sniffle because it may be COVID. But coming back to Ron's initial question, sex in space, why does it matter? Okay, so here's the skinny. So to our knowledge, there are no
Just real quick, I've
Yes.
never actually watched any of Shauna's panels on it because I thought that I would blush listening to Shauna talk about this subject. Because it's always been just like, we're going to fly in space. We're doing amazing things. I'm like, Shauna's going to be at New Worlds talking about what sex is like in space and babies and stuff like that. Sounds fascinating.
It's important. So the reason
It is important. Yes.
The reason we care. So officially, there are no documented records of anyone ever having had or done the deed in space, to our knowledge.
No.
But the reason that's important is we're eyeing increasingly distant and ambitious locales as a species. First, it's the moon with the Artemis program, the ESA Moon Village in 2024. Ideally, you know, we have Elon Musk saying that you know, we want to send people to Mars, not just to go, but to stay and to build settlements and civilizations. Well, spoiler alert, to do that, you need to be able to reproduce. The thing is, the human body acts totally differently in 0G than it does in 1G. And every single being, whether it's a protozoa, whether it's a mushroom, whether it's all 7 billion of us, have had the luxury of growing up and evolving in 1G. And what we know from data of astronauts on the International Space Station is that every single bodily system, whether we're talking about our bones, our muscles, our heart, our immune systems, our nervous systems, they're all affected. So then, of course, the question comes up, like, what happens, you know, can we reproduce in space? And so there's data from various animal experiments. There's data from zebrafish, jellyfish, salamanders, rats, and a lot of it is conflicting. And at best, the summary of the data is we need more data. We need more studies, because when you think about the act of from the time you talk about arousal, I know our troll is trying to be trolly here, but you're inadvertently bringing up really good questions about how does one do this
work? Because here's the question: like, if we want to talk about it, and it's after 12 o'clock in the morning, so you know, it's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. So, but here's the thing: is that if we're talking about it, I mean, for men in particular, it's blood flow. Like, things don't work the same when you're in space, the way that I understand it. Like, you know, the way that, I mean, I remember what it was in like felt.
Yeah, because I'm forgetting the name, but one of the early astronauts from Gemini, maybe it was Space Shuttle, I forget the era, but he actually wrote in vivid detail in his autobiography that he had some of the best morning erections of his life because of altered blood flow. But as you point out, you know, blood flow is altered, and you know, we see that in our cardiovascular system as well. We see that reflected when astronauts come back to Earth because they've decompensated, so they can't stand up for the first little while that they're on Earth. So blood flow is altered, and so there is conflicting data. There's conflicting reports of how arousal works, and that's just the whole start of the sequence. So how does gamete production, whether you're talking about sperm, whether you're talking about oocytes and egg production, how is that affected? How does the radiation environment affect that? How does the microgravity environment? And then you go through the entire cycle to the formation of a zygote, implantation, development in 0G. Or if you happen to do it on Mars on 1/3 gravity, is that enough? And then you get into the terrifying part of what is delivery in an altered gravity environment like? Can a
Would
woman?
it be easier?
Well,
Would it be more difficult? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, would it be easy? So would it physically be easier on the woman, but also be terrifyingly difficult for the doctor to try to get through because there isn't the ability to? I mean, I'm not saying that I've been in the room for it, but when we all watched the video when we were younger, and I can only imagine what the video was really like. But the video I saw in the 90s was, it was trying to terrify you away from sex because I'm from West Virginia. But what it's like really like to for a woman to give birth and be there is, I'm willing to guess that you're probably angling them in a certain area that's going to help with something like that. But what if you only have 1/3? And what is the weight development? You have been part of that. What's the weight development on a child there? Like, would it actually be almost like a perfect thing? Like, I totally had a kid today, bro. I'm good. So, I mean, there's so many questions.
On Earth, things can go wrong at the best of times. Like babies are adorable but terrifying. So if you there's been situations on Earth when we've had to run into emergency C-sections when a baby's heart rate drops. So not only do you have to be prepared for what is delivery in an altered gravity environment like. What happens if you have to do a stat C-section? Do you have surgical capabilities on Mars or the moon? And that ties into a bigger question of
something you teach with Possum, right? Like emergency medicine.
Yeah, we talk about essentially being a medical space MacGyver and using your knowledge and the resources you have to deal with medical emergencies. But something I spend a lot more time thinking about these days is also how do we build that medical capacity on the moon, on Mars? Like if we're talking about not just going forward to the moon, but staying there, if we're talking about staying on Mars, then we have to say that the medical capabilities we provide are meet the gold standard of Earth, even in a resource limited environment. And that's where the fun stuff like AI technology, VR technology, immersive medicine, that's where all of that comes in, because we're going to need a lot of help if we don't have the human power that we normally would on Earth to fuel medicine going forward.
I mean, I think there's so much there. Imran, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I think
yeah, like it is really like the future of. I mean, you can't talk about space exploration without talking about space medicine. Like, it's going to be a crucial part of the future. Like, as when we go back to the moon and when we go to Mars and beyond, just being in zero G, like medicine is such a huge thing. But yeah, safe, sex and reproduction in space is it's interesting because there's hardly any. There's, like you said, there's no data on it except for these animal trials. But I'm curious in what is the protocol in terms of trying to do that experimentation? Is it something that they just do as astronauts going on a normal space mission, or are they going to be like a dedicated space program to test sex in space and reproduction in space? Will there be actual human trials, or will it just be?
When do we get to that point where that's actually going to happen at all? So who's going to be the first government that's going to say we need to seriously do this? Because there's a TV show about it. I've not read the books about it, but was Masters of Sex, where he said we should really look at this. We should, if people are open and comfortable enough with it, we should do observing. We should do the actual go through the scientific method of watching people have sex. And of course, it led to weird things in a TV show, and I think it actually did lead to some interesting things for him and his assistant in real life. But there's got to be eventually that question, right? Which I'm sure that's what you talked about at New Worlds, and the other events that you've been a part of. That has to be kind of that question of who's going to be the first one that's going to be open-minded enough, with progressive enough in what they do to say that this is something we need to look at, because there's going to be this certain amount of time. There's going to be the fact that somebody's going to get there. It's not going to, I don't think it's going to be something that SpaceX is going to look into right now. Or maybe they are, and we just don't know about it. Just to make sure. Because we're seeing 1,000 people, they're seeing 1,000 people on Mars. 1 million people by 2100. That question has got to come up, right?
Humans will find a way. And I would say that the commercial
life finds a way.
Life finds a way. And commercial spaceflight is probably the way to go, because already we have, people in the entertainment industry looking to film movies in space, and so we can kind of imagine.
Oh my God, guys! Hey.
Yeah, so there have been rumors of, I think, maybe pornography filmed in parabolic flight. So I mean, you make it sound heroic, like the ultimate sacrifice, like who's going to step up for science? But I can promise you, there are people who are wanting to step up, and it's not for science, purely for the experience of what is that like. What is that like?
But who's gonna get there?
Is
Who's
there
gonna
a
get
middle
there
ground
first?
though? I mean,
Is it gonna be the science people, or is it gonna be like there's people just want to do it for the?
It has to be one or the
for the
other.
fun of it.
Well,
I think it should be the science people
there's
first.
some of us that aren't really. I mean, I think that we're in a point, especially when it comes to America and Canada, with the United States, Canada, or North America. You know what I mean? Really, between the three countries that are here, and once Mexico gets it, mysteriously putting astronauts up a lot, you got some really forward-thinking people. Probably Canada before anything else, but talking about saying, like, is there that middle ground? So you have people that are in, and I think that's actually kind of what Masters of Sex was I think they were kind of looking at people in the adult industry and saying, who can we work with in the real book, not in the Showtime TV series, of who's willing to do it. And then the actual scientists will pay attention to what's going on, because there's some things there. Because remember when I think it was Sally Ride was getting ready to go up, they gave her 100 tampons and she was up for days, and they asked her if that would be enough, because that's how many men were a part of that. How did you? And they wonder what's wrong with us. How do you not know that? Why us? Why anybody? That's a whole total different conversation. I won't even get into that one. But I think we had that. And that was a really great point with what Shauna said. There are people that are trying to do that. They would definitely be down to film it because it's going to make a bunch of money. But if there's an actor that I would trust to make the first movie in space, I don't care if you like the guy or not. I don't like what his beliefs have turned him into in a personal way, but the dude learns everything. Tom has got to be some level of a genius, because he learns all of this. He flies the helicopter in the last Mission Impossible. He strapped himself to the side of the plane in the movie before that, or that same movie. He is on a motorcycle in that. He learned how to fly like the plane in Top Gun. He is the one in the seat for the new Top Gun movie. Tom does his stuff. The man has an aptitude that's crazy.
He's not going to have sex in space, though, is he?
No, he's not. No, what I'm saying is that,
him actually.
But I'm not. But I'm just talking about, like. But the thing is that we're looking at people that are comfortable in front of. And of course, I'm laughing on the inside. I'm totally laughing with you. I'm of all people, I'm the guy that's going to laugh with you on that one. But I think it's kind of a point of that. Do we want professionals to be the one to do it, while the scientists are the ones that are going to pay attention to it? Not saying that what you see, do not do that. This is a whole different conversation. I thought was going.
I think it's multifactorial, and there's a question in the chat from SD Green who says this would be an issue on a long trip to Mars or beyond. And that's exactly it. So traditionally, NASA has been like at the forefront of leading massive major explorations and ventures into space. And so they've been very, very, family friendly, conservative values. They haven't even broached the topic, but now they're kind of forced to, because, we can't ignore the ethical side of this. Say you're on Mars, you have a crew, a mixed gender crew, and you notice that, two of the crew of the opposite sex, happen to venture off for a few, half an hour at a time, and they always come back and they always seem like they're out of breath and flushed and sweaty. And then before long, you notice that, you notice like the female seems to be nauseous and tired all the time, and so then you do a confirmatory pregnancy test, because the medical kit does include that. So what do you do? Like, what is the ethical responsibility to report? Like, do you terminate the mission that was cost billions of dollars? Do you let the taxpayers know, because they're the ones who funded this? Is there a duty to let the spouses back on Earth know? There's so many ethical issues around this. So, we need to talk about this. And then coming back a little bit closer to home, but not quite back to Earth. There was actually a company, I think they went defunct last year or the year before, but it was a very ill-advised attempt at
One.
what I forget what they're called. What did you say they were?
Mars One, the one.
Mars One, the reality show.
It was Imran. What was that?
Was it Mars One, the reality show thing that they were
No,
gonna do?
it wasn't Mars One. So what this company proposed to do is proposed to have the first human born in space. And so what they were proposing to do is take a pregnant woman up to low Earth orbit and then induce her and then have the first baby born in space, which if you're a medical practitioner, like this is chest pain inducing. Like induction on Earth.
I had no idea what that was. I had no idea that even existed. Wow.
Yeah, I'll Google it here as we're talking. But you know, birth is hard enough on Earth. When things go wrong, they go wrong and they go wrong quickly. And so, and if you're inducing labor, you're the one who's initiating that sequence of events. So the first principle of medicine is to do no harm. And so when you're taking a pregnant woman up to space, you are, I would argue, you are asking for harm. And so luckily, someone did manage to talk sense into them, and the company kind of backed out of that. Earth to cradle, something like that. Let me Google it here as we're chatting.
I'm already showing it. I'm showing like one of the things from the Atlantic.
Damn.
The moment has arrived at
crazy.
last. The woman is in a hospital gown. A woman in a hospital gown steals herself, ready to push. A nearby monitor displays her baby's heart rate in big neon numbers. A nurse in crisp scrubs coos in her ear, offering words of encouragement and advice. The scene would resemble any other delivery room if it weren't for the view outside the window. The soft curvature of the blue earth against the blackness of space, 250 miles below. Space Life Origin, based in the Netherlands, wants to send a pregnant woman accompanied by a trained world-class medical team in a capsule to the space above Earth. The mission would last 24 to 36 hours. Once the woman delivered the child, the capsule will return to the ground. A carefully prepared and monitored process will reduce all possible risks, similar to Western standards as they exist on Earth for both mother and child, Space Life Origin's website states. The company has set the year 2024 as the target date for the trip. The concept raises a host of questions. We'll get to those later. Perhaps the most immediate may be this. Why?
Yeah. So luckily, actually one of my collaborators who wrote the book chapter with me on the all the issues that can come up with reproduction in space.
Wait, book? What? You have a book?
So no, I've written a book chapter. I've written a book chapter on of reproduction in long duration spaceflight. And his whole PhD was in the subject. And so he got wind of this company. He's like, whoa, you guys need an advisor. And basically my advice is, this is a bad idea. So the company has, they've since revised that plan. I think they're doing basic research now. I think they're still around, but there's so many unknowns, and to actively bring a pregnant woman into low Earth orbit, what if there's an arrest of descent? What if there's an arrest of labor? What if there's a fetal heart rate abnormality? What if you need to do a vacuum or a forceps delivery? What if you need an emergency C-section? All these what ifs. What if you have a postpartum hemorrhage? The list goes on and on and on. That's a lot of medical jargon, but they all translate into super duper bad news for mom and baby. And so, to do that without having a plan for when things go wrong, and then a plan for when things go wrong for your plan B, I cannot emphasize enough that don't do it.
Shauna, are you sure? Because if you listen to the one and only Malcolm has something very serious to say. Hold on. Oh, wait. Did it mute on me? Oh man, I was trying to make it cool. And then it looks like it's gonna leave me hanging here. No. Wait. Why is it muted? Why can't? There we go. Here he is.
The dinosaur skirts.
Point out the dinosaur skirts.
It's really not that difficult. All vertebrate embryos are inherently female anyway. They just require an extra hormone given at the right developmental stage to make them male.
The man.
Simply deny them that.
Wait for it. Look at him. Leather jacket, still looking cool 30 years later.
Jeff Goldblum.
Listen, if there's one thing the history of evolution has taught us, it's that life will not be contained. Life breaks free, it expands to new territories, and it crashes through barriers painfully, maybe even dangerously. But, oh, there it is. There it is.
And he is right. The reason why that line is so great is because of the fact that it came from, like, a lot of people don't realize that before he became one of the best authors ever, Michael Crichton was an actual doctor. And every single time he wrote a book, he dove into the topic to make sure that it was right. He would take real science. That's the reason why his stuff was so great. That's the reason why one of his best shows ever was ER. You know, like, all his stuff was great, but he would bring these things to the table. That's the man that made me want to get, I'm like, that's the guy that made me want to really, like, sit down and say, the rest of my life I want to be in science. I gave up for it. I gave up on it for 15 years, but paleontology was it. I'm like, even if I DJ for as long as I was going to DJ, my whole goal was like, you know what, man, for 45, 50 years, I got to DJ and it rocked. I went back to school, got my degree, became a paleontologist. And from 60 to 80, I sat and played in the dirt and found dinosaur bones. It'd be awesome. Now I live in a place where it's 5 minutes up the road. I can go to one of the top, well, not 5 minutes. It's about an hour up the road that we have in this little tiny town called Woodland Park. Is the dinosaur. So it's kind of funny. Dinosaur Resource Center. And they are one of the top places. They're like top 2 or 3 places in the world that make casts to send to the Field Museum, American Museum of Natural History, because within this area I live now is the largest mixture of land and sea animals that are, you know, like 60 million years ago, dinosaurs, because we used to be ripped in half here. There was the water in there was the land. Stegosaurus was found here. There's so many different things that were found within this hour and a half, you know, like drive area. And I love that. And that was the thing that made me fall in love with it. But here's the point of fact that life finds a way. And if life finds a way here, where can life find a way elsewhere? Like, as much as we're talking about sex stuff here, let's get into the fact of, like, what kind of craziness is happening on Titan right now? Like, what's going on those links? What kind of baby making's happening there? But that's different topic.
Life can find a way, and you know, maybe there's undiscovered life on Mars and that evolved in 1/3 G. But the question is, what happens when you've spent all of your evolutionary history evolving in 1G, and then suddenly, so say you did manage to conceive and it didn't go wrong, and you managed to birth the baby on Mars, your evolutionary coding is all coded for 1G. So how does that kiddo react in development, in growing up in a 1/3 gravity environment? And you know, if they do manage to adapt, because life finds a way, will they be able to come back to Earth? You know, will they grow taller in the 1/3 gravity environment? But what will that mean for back strain and muscle strain? Yeah,
we get that in like no. I mean, I'm not saying a piece now, but there's 2 different things that are sci-fi. One of them is not that great, which is the space between, and then the other one is The Expanse talks about that. You see how tall. Yeah. You see how tall they get when they're belters. You see that they're really, really tall. But imagine putting them in something like, you might be 7 foot tall, but let's put you in our gravity, and it's going to crush you. And that's what happens. There's a little bit. I mean, they did have, again, they had NASA consultation in the space between, and it was the first kid that was born on Mars, and he comes home. And whenever he comes home, it's difficult for him. Damn near kills him. You know, it's a difficult thing, but of what those things are. And the list of things you see in this little hour and a half movie, Shauna is going to be able to say, like, oh, that's the first sentence in a book. And that we will have, that's the first sentence in the first book we'll ever write about this. And it's going to be amazing what that's going to be from there.
But can having a child and having a baby in 0G do something to the baby's DNA altogether? Can it just affect it to the point where it's like, you know, really like completely just screws it up to the point where, you know, that they maybe, you know, will it cause deformities? Will it mess up the brain? Will it, you know,
Yeah, that's a great question. That comes back to the science that's been done so far. So there's conflicting data because I think there was altered lens development in zebrafish. There was altered neuromuscular and motor development in baby rats, but then that resolved by several months. And then wasps that were flown on a space shuttle or Skylab, but came back and were noted to have a higher incidence of death in their offspring. And then some animal species had no effects. And so the bottom line from all that confusing data is that we just need more studies. But there's some the other questions is like of what you're asking are really good ones, because we talk about both the genetic coding and then how that genetic coding interacts with the environment and what phenotype manifests. So maybe we're remarkably pliable, and maybe by virtue of simply developing in utero in an altered gravity environment, maybe that's enough to let life find a way. We just don't know. Or maybe it's so heavily encoded in our DNA that one gravity, one G is it, that 1/3 gravity will be a no-go. And so then the question becomes, what is the gravity prescription? And I'm quoting the former CMO of Johnson Space Center here. He says, what is the gravity prescription? At what amount of gravity, at what point in space flight, and for what duration?